Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It is World Tour 5. We are in the beautiful Japanese city of Tokyo, and we are here to guide you through the Manufacturer Series today. And boy, is it going to be very exciting indeed. We've had some brilliant action all season throughout 2019, and we are here today ready to guide you through. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me, the lovely Jimmy Broadbent.
You're always very nice to me, Tom. Do you want something?
Yeah, well, possibly, but we'll talk about that later.
Well.
Goodness me, it's already gone downhill. We've only been on air 30 seconds. How you been? All good?
Yeah, all good. Oh, great to be here in Tokyo. What can I say? Back in the Mega Web building. We were here last year, of course, for the Asia Shine. Now we're doing World Tour event. This crowd here, you guys can't see, unfortunately, behind us, but there are hundreds of people back there. A little bit intimidating, I'm not going to lie.
It's pretty mega. I mean, we've got a crowd over here. They're all up on the grandstands above as well, which isn't really a grandstand. It's just a mezzanine floor, but it's just fantastic. Great atmosphere from the Japanese crowd, as we had last year and as we've got again this year.
Yeah, we had the Super Cup earlier on, and every time any Japanese driver came on, bam. Big fan of them, so hopefully we get the same for today in the Manufacturer Series.
Exactly, yeah. Manufacturer Series is going to be hugely exciting over the course of today as well. Of course, Mercedes-Benz, kind of the team to beat over the last couple of rounds. If we look at their 2019 stats, the last two Manufacturer Series, of course, in New York and last time out in Salzburg, they took victory. Can they do the triple? What do you reckon?
That's the big talking point, really, is can they do something that we haven't seen before, which would be, well, they were the first to do a double, and they might be the first to do a triple. As you can see there, as you said, first in New York, first in Salzburg as well. And again, a very strong team here today. Cody coming back again to drive, as well as Ant and Felix is there as well. So, and of course, our good friend Bonjour Storm is there as well. So. But yeah, so I don't know. It'll be very tricky for them. It's a very strong competition today, especially with the likes of Toyota.
Yeah,
my word, what a stacked team that
exactly,
is.
And they are looking really, really strong in terms of pace here today. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the competition format for the Manufacturer Series. If you missed it last time out, of course, we debuted a new format for the Manufacturer Series. Instead of the 3 individual races that we'd had previously, we have got just 2 races, essentially, so a semi-final and then the final, where all 3 drivers will be competing. You can see our destinations where we've been on the World Tour calendar so far in 2019. We started off in Paris, then to Nürburgring, then to New York. Last time out, of course, in Salzburg. We're here for the final World Tour event of 2019 in Tokyo, of course, in Japan, and then we're at the final, the world final event in Monaco in late November. So it's going to be interesting, of course. We're going to be crowning a brand new FIA Gran Turismo champion at the end of this year as well. Can Igor Fraga retain his title? That's a Nations Cup talking point, but of course, Manufacturer Series here today. Who is going to take the crown, of course, at the end of this year?
Tell you what, it's mad to think that we're already nearly at the finals. It seems like just the other day we were in Paris starting this all off again, and now we're in Tokyo, second to last, of course. And what I'm interested in is seeing how Lexus do. Lexus, of course, last year's champions. Not really been as strong this year, I think it's fair to say, but a couple of drivers weren't not being present who actually were there to take the victory last year either, so, and not really been too strong here at the event, so I don't know, we'll see what they can do, really.
Well, that's the thing, inconsistencies with lineup can create those sort of differences, can't they, in terms of performance on track. I mean, if you look at the start of this year, we had Aston Martin, of course, in Paris, winning the first event. They've kind of been nowhere since. So you can see, of course, the competition format on your screen at the moment, so 1 driver per team in the qualifying sessions. All 3 drivers, though, must race in race 1, and also also race 2 here as well. It's worth bearing that in mind. So it is now a tactical element to it, basically. There's strategy coming into play here.
I'll tell you what as well, something that you guys wouldn't have seen is that the qualifying driver for yesterday to put the drivers into the top 6 have to be different from the drivers who do the time attack for today. So, for example, if you were Martin Grady yesterday, who did very well and actually ended up in first position in the overall qualifiers, he can now not drive in the top 6.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're going to go over to Kazunori Yamauchi on the stage here at the Mega Web in Tokyo, as he is just talking to us now. So let's get some thoughts from him, shall we?
このマニュファクチャラシリーズなんですが、これはどんな意味のある大会なんですか？
はい、僕らネーションズカップとマニファクチャラーシリーズ2つのシリーズをやっていますけれども。
So yeah, we've got Yamauchi-san just on stage at the moment. He is just talking about the Manufacturer Series. Over the course of this season, it's been very interesting to see how he has been faring so far this year, and of course the Manufacturer Series as well. They're just talking about their favourite automobile manufacturers, of course, in the Manufacturer Series, which represents them over the course of this year. And Yamauchi-san saying he wants to thank everybody for gathering here around the globe to attend this event. The only thing he can ask of the competitors is to just show us some great racing.
That's what we really ask here, in my word. It's going to be a big crowd here with that judgment. I wish we could just flip the camera around for a second and show you guys the amazing amount of people here. I mean, I've had the absolute honour to go to pretty much every one of these events so far, and never have we had a crowd like this. You get a sneak peek there. There's Team Toyota, again, stacked team there. Yamanaka, Fraga and Darush. I mean, you can't, it's not a better team there, I think. If they aren't in contention, they're doing something seriously wrong in that Toyota.
Yeah, you can see the MC on the left-hand side of your screen, Koji Hiraiyawa. He's just talking to Yamauchi-san on stage at the moment, and yeah, just talking about how they want to have some good, clean racing in the Manufacturer Series here today, which is what we're all expecting and what we're all hoping for over the course of this evening as well. It's going to be pretty exciting. Don't forget, of course, keep an eye out for an individual driver in the Manufacturer Series. We've got our Michelin Driver of the Day. Hashtag Michelin FIA GTC to vote, of course, on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. But now, the national anthem. Ready then to get racing underway very, very shortly indeed here in Tokyo. The crowd are ready, they're on their feet. What's your prediction for this one here, Jimmy? I think a man to keep an eye on, Igor Fraga.
Yeah, it's nice to have him back, of course, in the Manufacturer Series, and I think all we can really say is they are going to be the team to watch here. Toyota have been a fairly strong car across the season, and again, that lineup, Yamanaka, definitely a Toyota specialist, looking to redeem himself a bit earlier as well after the Group C the Super Cup. Anyway, here is the how their season has been so far. Of course, winning at the Nürburgring, but New York 8th, Paris 4th, and Salzburg 3rd. Always there, but you know, not quite always where they need to be.
Well, it's been an interesting, isn't it? As you say, ups and downs, mixed bag. You know, 4th in Paris, 8th at New York, and a couple of podiums there. The win, of course, as you said, at Nürburgring, 3rd in Salzburg. Igor Fraga, though, we know how quick of a driver he is, and he is in the top 6 qualifier for Toyota quickly. So he can be a very, very big catalyst in this one. We know how quick he is over the course of one lap. So it's all to play for, and it's looking good for them.
It is. I mean, undeniably, of course, there are other teams out there. Again, I mentioned it earlier on. Audi qualifying first in the general qualifier earlier on by about a couple of attempts, and that was Martin Grady. And the Audi is not usually a car that we see up there, so maybe some BOP changes been quite favourable for them. They were struggling with straight line speed at the previous events. Maybe that's been rectified now. that is done on the fly. We try and make sure we get as close as possible, of course. So, yeah, definitely one to watch out for, I think, Audi.
Well, of course, it was Martin Grady who set the fastest time in the general qualifier for them. Toshiro Kato, Japanese driver who is competing for them here this weekend, and it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on. He'll be partaking in the top 6 qualifier for Audi. Looking further down the order, Porsche, they were second yesterday in the general qualifier. Not a bad time from them, but it's Matthew Simmons, the Australian driver, of course, who's competed in GT Academy, and we know how quick he can be on his day, and he was pretty lively, actually, when we last saw him at Nürburgring.
Yeah, our favourite Matt Simmons fact, then. All very good drivers in their own right. And again, Porsche, another car and another team that's always been in the top 5, that sort of area, but never really been able to push forward and go beyond that. Again, another one, BMW. BMW's always been very strong. And again, another strong lineup there. So this really could go any way this month.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen BMW look strong at the start of this season, but sort of fading in the middle part of it as well. They need to get themselves back on top form, get that resurgence going, because it's going to be important for them. You can see on screen now at the moment with the top 6 qualifying starting grid, all the drivers now out. So just a 10-minute qualifying session for them to contend with here, Jimmy, as well. So it's going to make things pretty interesting.
I think so too, and again, there are the times on the right to give you an idea of just how close it was. Between 4th and 6th, there's only about a tenth between the two of them there, but quite a big gap at the front, really. If you look at Audi, they're the only team that got into the 55s. You currently see on the left-hand side of the screen a couple of highlights there. That was Cody in the Mercedes-Benz, and again, Mercedes-Benz down in 8th position, and they're looking to get that treble. It's not really the way they want to start it, down in 8th.
It's not ideal for them, and considering they've been so strong, as we said, as of late with those 2 victories, of course, as we said, in Salzburg and in New York as well, it's kind of for them all to do here. As you said, down in 8th position, so they're going to be starting there on the grid. There's no top 6 qualifier for them at this stage, so it's going to be an uphill mountain for them at this stage.
Well, you saw in the little footage there we had in the bottom left, Cody actually made a mistake coming out of the last corner. So not only did he ruin that lap, he ruined the lap after that as well. And it's only a short session. It was a 10-minute session in the end, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Only a few attempts at a lap, and having 2 just gone just like that was, well, that's what really put the nail in the coffin, I think.
Well, that session cut down from 20 minutes previously as well. So that was, an extra few laps for the drivers to get acquainted with the cars and push on. They could make a mistake in the early stages almost and then rectify it. No chance in the 10-minute one. So
I kind of like that, though.
I like that as well, yeah. No room for error, which is what we like, and it adds that unpredictability. Who'd have thought Mercedes down in 8th place?
Yeah, exactly. And like this is part of the session. We have our qualifying drivers as well and our quit drivers, and if the quality driver can't get it done, then, well, there you go. You can see there our stage. You can see us down here. Hello, never wave. in the bottom left down there, off the side. And I think now we're getting ready to go into our qualifying session.
The top 6 qualifier for the Manufacturer Series to get underway then here. Just a 5-minute qualifying session instead of the 10 minutes that we had yesterday. And this will decide the top 6 positions on the grid ahead of race 1 for the Manufacturer Series. Now, Ford, they didn't do too badly yesterday. Behind the wheel of that car was Adam Wilk, the Australian. This time it is Adam Tapai, the Hungarian driver. So another Adam behind the wheel. And at Mount Panorama, so a different circuit compared to yesterday, which, again, adds a different variable into the mix.
I love Bathurst. Bathurst is such a fun track to drive, such a fun track to watch as well. It's one of those tracks that I think really separates the drivers with confidence to those that maybe aren't quite there and familiar with the car yet, especially across the mountain at the top there. It's one of those meant for the boys sections, and I'm looking forward to see these guys attack it, and they will be attacking it because this qualifying session really does matter. So we're seeing Ford out on the circuit right now. Driver of that car is Mr. Adam Tapai. He was driving earlier, the Hungarian driver. He was someone who's been improving vastly, I think, Tom, over the last couple of events he's been at. We always say that it's quite hard to come from going to the bedroom going to the bedroom to come into a live event because you're more comfy there. You've got your cup of tea on the side, got your sarnie there as well. Here you got, I'd say about 300 or 400 eyes, or sets of eyes on you at the moment, watching you try and put in a good lap. But I was actually speaking to Adam Saswillo earlier, and he's not taking part in the session, but I asked him, do you feel that pressure? He goes, once the headset's on, it's all gone. Don't worry about it.
You can see there the drivers who are competing with Team Ford: Adam Wilk, Armin Aga Khan from America, and Adam Tapai from Hungary as well. So be interesting to see how they get on. Of course, as we said, only a 5-minute qualifier session here, Jimmy, and the length of the lap here at Mount Panorama is particularly long. So it's definitely worth bearing that in mind because they're only going to get really one bite at the cherry for this, maybe two.
Maybe 2. It depends how quick they get to the line. If they make a mistake, they won't get another one. Lexus, another strong team. Again, our manufacturers champions from last year, and again, sporting a whole new lineup. We have Karatsa, Brooks and Baptiste Beauvoir, he's been having a bit of a tricky time here this weekend. Not really been having the best run of things, so hopefully he can get it in a better state of mind and go from there. Here is BMW, Nico Rubelard there. He's been part of his team pretty much the entire time, Hayward as well, and Koke Lopez. And here is Toyota. They are definitely the ones under pressure here. Of course, we are in the Toyota Mega Web building, so lots of eyes on them, to say the least. And there's Igor Fraga, the qualifying driver. And well, we know what Igor can do, but can he actually put it into practice?
Yeah, Rayan Darouche also driving for that team as well. And Rayan, a very quick driver on his day. Yep, knows how to manhandle a car around the circuit. And definitely want to keep an eye on. I spoke to him back in Salzburg in a carpool interview that we did, which you can view on the Gran Turismo TV YouTube channel. And was speaking to him a little bit more about the machine and so on and so forth. You can see here as well Tashiro Kato behind the wheel of the Audi. Big round of applause for him here in Japan as well. Of course, hometown driver here in Tokyo, so a lot of support for him.
Yeah, first lap starting to come in now. They will get one more lap, it seems. Here comes the BMW. Nico Rubelard at the wheel. Can he go quicker? Let's see what he can do. It's a decent lap from him. He does. Provisional pole there for BMW, a 2:03.1. So here comes Igor Fraga. Currently, he's half a second up on that provisional time set by Nico Rubelard. Comes across the start-finish line. Now there should be a 2:02 easily if it's been a good last sector. Let's have a look. It is a 2:02.2, nearly if it gets into the 2:01s. And Yamanaka down there on the sofa. Big cheer from him. And well, I'm not surprised, really.
That was pretty mega. Porsche not looking too good here in their opening lap of the day, but they have got one more bite of the cherry, as you said there, Jimmy, to right their wrongs. They're down in P5 at the moment, haven't set a representative lap times. They could maybe move up to P3, but let's see as they go over the timing line here. They do go up to third position, second row of the grid. Now Audi, now they are on the back foot, of course. It's Kato behind the wheel, but they've not had a good lap here so far. They're 1.5 seconds down. So again, they could move up the order here and demote Ford down, but it's not going to be an easy time for them. Their last bite at the cherry as they come over the line. Yet they don't improve, and you're absolutely spot on there, Jimmy. So down in P6, 2 seconds off the pace.
Just contact over the top of the hill. That's what it was. You were watching that. It was a messy lap there from Audi, but here comes Ford now. This is Taipei again. There's a replay of the Lexus, so I think maybe their lap's already over. Let's have a look. Coming over the mountain here. Oh, gets the skyline. Easy mistake to do that. Go a bit wide there. Would have lost a couple of attempts probably, and the lap will be gone. So here is Ford now. Can Adam Taipei move this car up out of 5th position? Let's see. It's a decent last corner there. The time's looking pretty sweet in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's have a look. Does improve, but still a mile away from Toyota. 2:03.1, and there is a Lexus 2.2 seconds off, so they will not improve. They will stay down in 5th position for now. Shame for them, because that car is quick around here. Just confirmation of that. Yep, there it is. So down in 5th position. Time's now coming in thick and fast as the drivers come around. Here's BMW. Nico not quite on the pace there, but 8 attempts off where it needs to be to get past the Toyota. It might be enough to move up the BMW up into 2nd position, but every grid position counts, so you won't be too unhappy with that. Comes across the start-finish line. Does he improve? No. No, he doesn't. Stays in 3rd.
Yeah, you can see the Toyota there of Igor Fraga behind the wheel of that machine at the moment. What is he going to be able to do? He was up and he's on pole position currently. Looks like they're going to better their time. Fraga over the line for Toyota, and it's pole position still. It's not an improvement. He loses time in that final sector, but unless Porsche can upset the apple cart, but they are 0.6 of a second adrift here. They're not on a bad lap. It's a personal best for them so far, so if they can keep that together, they might move up the order here, but it's going to be a tall ask to get themselves onto the front row of the grid, unless the driver behind the wheel, Matthew Simmons, has had an absolutely stonking final sector. Over the line he comes. It's an improvement. It's the front row for Porsche right at the very end of that one. Hugely impressive stuff from Matt Simmons under pressure.
I was shaking my head now. I didn't think he was going to do it, but then he goes, Matt Simmons proved me wrong. That serves me right. So now, can Kato improve his time? Wasn't a good first lap in the Audi. He's very wide on the exit of the last corner there. He comes across the line, doesn't improve, quite a way off the rest of the teams, I think it's fair to say. So the Audi down in 6th place.
That is disappointing there for Audi. They were on pole position in the general qualifier yesterday. Look there at the face of the Japanese driver of Audi. That, of course, is Tashiro Kato behind the wheel of that car. Hugely impressive performance from them right at the very end from Igor Fraga. We said he was one to watch, and he pulled the cat out of the bag right when it happened.
Yeah, definitely. The Yamanaka there, Tommy, was
Sorry,
very happy.
Apologies.
It's hard. Lots of names there, isn't there? But yeah, he's someone who he wears his emotions on his sleeve. We see him when he's angry. We see him when he's happy, and he's happy right now. Good for him. But yeah, Igor just showing what we missed. I mean, he was disappointed that his lap was 600 slower, which I mean, dude, you've already got it by 8/10. Don't worry about it. But that just goes to show, his attitude towards the racing. Bit of a surprise for Audi, I think, as you said. It's a shame that they were down the bottom there. I think they could have done a bit better. And but it just shows that, there aren't necessarily two qualifying drivers in that team. Martin was the quick qualifying driver. Kato maybe not quite as comfy doing that, and it kind of showed a bit, really.
Well, maybe that will pay dividends for them in the race. Perhaps he's a better racer than he is a qualifier. We see that so many times with drivers. That's the case of Eugene Broadbent as well. You can see the top 6 qualifying results then on your screen. Toyota take top honours in the top 6. Then they finish ahead of Porsche, who line up alongside the front row. Ford and BMW on row 2. Lexus are last year's manufacturers' champions on the 3rd row of the grid. Alongside them is Audi. So work to do for them from P6 and the back of the 3rd row.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. And the Audi, they were saying that it's still a little bit down the straight line. So getting that past is going to be difficult, and getting that sorted is going to be tricky because, well, the circuit is a circuit of 2 halves, really. You have 2 straights on the back and the front of the course, and you have this horrible mountain section. I say horrible, it's fantastic, but if you're trying to overtake, it's very horrible. It's really one line through there, so overtaking very tricky, and yeah, Audi aren't going to be happy with that.
No, it's going to be hugely interesting to see how it all fares. Of course, race 1 for the Manufacturer Series taking place at Mount Panorama, as well as we said, strategy coming into play. That is the important talking point here to remember as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all gets on. And of course, a lot of Japanese competitors here as well, as you mentioned. So a lot of home support. You can see them on your screen at the moment. Tomoki Yamanaka, Ayumi Takeda, Shogo Yoshida, and Tashihiko Kato there in the Audi. So these are all the Japanese drivers to watch here.
Doing a better job than me, Tom. I'm glad I'm pronouncing those names. I'd probably make a mess of it, as I usually do. But yeah, some of the drivers now starting to get up onto the stage just to our left and getting ready to start the race. You don't have to use the same qualifying driver, I don't believe, to start the race. You can use pretty much who you like to start the race. So people are opting to do that. And of course, we have tyre strategies as well. And this is something that I wanted to talk about because this has changed from last time. We used to have it so every driver had to do a minimum of 1 lap. But what we were seeing is that drivers were going out on the hard tyre, doing 1 lap, coming in, and that was the end of it. Now, drivers have to do a minimum of 4 laps on each tyre compound, so everyone's a bit more fair, and maybe the slower drivers having a bit more of an impact in the team instead of being kind of just, well, get out.
Exactly. Well, we saw that with Anthelis, didn't we, last time out in Salzburg, where he just came in, did a couple of laps, did 1 lap.
He did 2 laps over the entire course of the event.
That was it, and that was disappointing, really, from a spectator's point of view. We know Ant is a very quick driver, but it seemed like he was just there for the sake of it almost, really. So now it adds that extra element and brings some relevance back to it.
That's what I like about this competition and with esports in general, is that we are constantly changing these to try and get the best mix of rules and the best mix of strategy for you guys to watch and for us to commentate. It makes our job easier. So
yeah, exactly. Fuel, of course, is something else to consider over the course of that race. Very fuel-heavy Mount Panorama, lots of fast-flowing sections over the course of that lap. Full throttle straight on the Conrod as well, and down towards turn 2. So it's worth bearing that in mind. And it's a case of when are you going to put fuel in the car, when are you going to change the tyres, who are you going to change the drivers to, exactly, that sort of strategy. I think we should look at Porsche, though, a little bit more, because they've been a team that have been there and thereabouts. We saw them putting the cat out of the bag with Matt Simmons right at the very end of that one. Here are their results so far in 2019. 4th at the Nürburgring, 10th in New York. Didn't go their way, but last time out at Salzburg, 2nd.
Just kind of winding it up, it seems, at the moment. And I think, it's, again, another team who haven't been there but have not managed to get onto that top step of the podium. There are only a few events per year, so, again, that's what makes Mercedes' achievement so impressive. But I think Matt Simmons, again, with Bathurst as well, he's Aussie native, so he should know his way around that. Otherwise, we have to take away his Australian citizenship card.
That's the punishment. I like the idea of that, goodness me. No, it is going to be very, very exciting for these drivers to contend with, as we said, tyre strategy, fuel strategy, driver strategy coming into play here as well. Team radio as well. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the Mount Panorama motor racing circuit. So 6.2 kilometres long it is. You can see very much a mixture in that circuit of fast and flowing corners, and Jimmy, just guide us through a few of them.
I mean, the first and last half of the circuit looks pretty simple. Cut that out, but you see the mountain section, and the great thing is about your Group 3 cars, it's pretty much from the cutting all the way up to Skyline, or the kink before Skyline, I should say. If you have a good line through them, the car's feeling good, you can be flat all the way through. But It's just a matter of negotiating the walls around here. Small touch on the wall, you lose so much momentum, and it really can ruin your lap. So we also have our tyre strategies here, as we said before. This is what we think each tyre will do in terms of speed over the course of a lap. We think we're going to see people using the minimum on both the racing hard and racing mediums, and then doing 5 laps on the soft. There are time differences there. The racing hard being a full 2.2 seconds slower than the racing soft compound tyre. So really, you want to be using a soft compound when you're in clean air.
Completely, yeah. So maybe not best to use those in the early stages of the race when it's all bunched up in the field.
Especially now with this addition to the tyre strategy rules. Although if you are starting in maybe the top 2, top 3, maybe go on the soft tyre, try and make a gap and then keep track position. As I said around here, overtaking of the mountain is very difficult. And if your car is slow in a straight line, there's not really much you can do about it.
Interesting that the racing soft tyre will last longer in terms of its normal tyre life compared to the racing medium and the hard compound. We're used to seeing that kind of the other way around a bit.
I think it's more this is the predicted strategies.
Right.
So I think obviously the racing hard and racing medium would go for longer, but we don't think it's going to happen, because why would you spend longer on a slower tyre?
Yeah, makes sense. Completely right there, Jimmy. And here is the starting grid. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen, Toyota on pole position, as we said. We'll guide you through that a little bit more as we get ready to get this race underway. There's Matt Simmons. He will be starting the race then for Porsche, so he stayed put in his seats. And, well, that'll be interesting because we can see that he's clearly very quick over the course of one lap. Can he convert that into good race pace here? That's the crucial question.
I was wondering if anyone can touch Fraga at the top there, and if he will have that pace in the race. That's a hard thing to try and say, because we said qualifying and race is quite different. But Igor, is actually off the bat of a couple of real world wins at the moment, so got momentum with him. If you don't know, he raced in the Formula 3 Championship. It was a free race meeting at Monza. He won 2 of them and came further than the other, which is ridiculous. So
really, really impressive.
If you want an argument as to does this translate to real life and vice versa, well, Igor Fraga is that basically. So is Matt Simmons. So is Nick McMillan. A lot of very quick guys here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I want to keep an eye on BMW, though. They've got Coque Lopez,
definitely.
Nicolas Rubelar behind the wheel of those cars. 2 very quick drivers. Lopez has been a nearly man so far this year, I think it's fair to say. And Randall Haywood, he put in some good performances if you hark back to New York. So
I think Randall, I remember back at, I think it was Nürburgring, with a fantastic move at Monza, but hopefully we'll see some more of that as I think we're going into the race now, as we get our very loud BGM over the monitor. Here we are then. First race of the Manufacturer Series coming up here at Tokyo.
So then, race 1 for the Manufacturers Series, and here is how the cars line up on the grid in Mount Panorama. You can see Toyota will start the race on pole position. They will head the field. Bit of a flash of the lights from BMW there in P4. So there it is. Igor Fraga starts behind the wheel of the Toyota. Can the Japanese team do well on home soil? Matthew Simmons in second place in the Porsche. The Australian on his home circuit here in Mount Panorama. Then Ford in third place with Armin Agakhan, the American behind the wheel of the American machine. Nicolas Rubelar, the Chilean driver, starts the M6 in fourth place. Then fifth place is Baptiste Beauvoir in the Lexus. In sixth position, it's Audi. Work to do for Kato there in P6. A lot of support for him, though, here in Tokyo. Hyundai in P7, as you can see on your screen at the moment. Mercedes-Benz in 8th position, with Cody Nikola Lakowski behind the wheel of the car, and then Aston Martin with Ayumu Takeda behind the wheel. Again, a big old round of applause for Ayumu there. Danny Solis in the Alfa Romeo is in 10th position. Alongside them, you can see in the next row is Vinicius Neto from Brazil, and 12th and last on the grid is Aguilar, the driver for Chevrolet. So what do we reckon down to that first corner? Crucially here, Jimmy, we've got our first look at the tyre choices for the teams.
Yeah, but as predicted, the top 2 guys opting to go for the soft compound tyre, try and break away early. That'd be 5 laps on that tyre. Ford there going for the medium compound tyre, so the only car in the top 5 with that choice. And then from there, everyone else trying to opt to get rid of that hard tyre as quick as they can, whilst probably being in some traffic. So not a bad idea. I'm just wondering what the straight line speed difference is between the Porsche and Toyota, because the first big run up Mountain Straight towards, I think it's Griffin's Corner it's called nowadays, it's a very long run up there, and slipstream's going to play a big factor in that. But anyway, coming round to the last corner now to start our Manufacturer Series first race here at Tokyo.
The 2019 World Tour for the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships about to get underway for the Manufacturer Series. Then Toyota will lead Porsche over the line as we get ready then to go green here in Tokyo. Over the line the drivers come, and the Manufacturer Series here is underway. Good start then from Toyota as they all duck into the slipstream. Porsche Porsche are going to try and attack early doors as we come down to the first corner. You can see Toyota already on the defensive as Igor Fraga, a bit of contact I think further back, and Ford are off. There was contact with BMW. So big drama early doors here for Ford as they go plummeting down the order there, and unsurprisingly that incident under investigation.
Hard to see he was at fault there. We only just saw out of the corner of our eye, but again, Ford are essentially now out of the running in this race already as they can come back. Anyway, Toyota lead us into T2, Porsche right close behind, BMW I think understeering there, and maybe had a little bit of help from Lexus, and now they're all bunching up coming into the cutting for the first time. Too wide, you will be one by one through here. Hyundai stuck on the outside there. Audi, great start from them, up into third place. Audi there scything through the field and up into third. That's from 6th on the grid, so a great start from the German manufacturer. Meanwhile, Lexus I think was responsible for the crash down at T1 and have been handed a 2-second penalty by our stewards.
My apologies to BMW then. It was Lexus, as you said, Jimmy, that got caught up in that strife early on. Then here are Toyota now on the defensive as Porsche have gotten through into the lead. We didn't see that on screen. If we did, we missed it. Let's see if we can piece together what happened down to turn 1. Here's Lexus. They went into BMW. BMW went into Ford, and it was all she wrote for the American team. That is disappointing early doors, but now it is the tables turned for Porsche, who lead the way on lap 1.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think that must have happened down at the cutting when we were focusing back on the Audi overtaking there as well. So Matt Simmons there, very early on saying, right, you know what, Igor, I'm going to be fighting you this entire race and not giving him any sort of respite. Coming down Conrod now, and you see, look at this speed difference here. Toyota put out the slipstream, flying now down the straight, and it's an easy move into the chase there. Yeah, sorry, where we are for a second. And Igor Fraga back up into the lead. But Matt Simmons, of course, showing his intention early, really all over the back of that Toyota in the Porsche. Let's see what happens here.
The thing is, these two need to not squabble amongst one another too much. They need to break away and work together almost here in these opening stages on the soft compound of tyres, but they're not doing it at the moment. They're 3.5 seconds ahead early doors, which is great at the end of lap 1. But if they keep squabbling, it could just allow that gap to close, and it might compromise their strategy a tad.
Well, we'll see. They're both drivers who have driven in the real world. So here is the move. We missed it on the screen. So yeah, coming into the cutting. Oh, Igor just gets it wrong going into the corner. Tags the wall there. Leaves a little bit of Toyota paint there for the next lap for everyone to see. And that allows Porsche up into the lead. But now that's a very rare mistake. We don't really see those from Igor too often, but it might sense that he's feeling the pressure there from the Porsche behind. So coming through Griffins again up the hill. And this is where we've seen, we saw Igor make the mistake last lap through. And again, Matt Simmons not being dropped, still only 4 tenths behind in the Porsche.
Well, this is very impressive from these two drivers in the opening stages of this race. 13 laps, and of course a minimum of 4 laps they have to spend on each tyre compound. Great stuff, by the way, from Audi here in the opening stages. They're on the medium compound of tyre, definitely slower than the soft, but they're ahead of BMW by just over 1/10 of a second. So the driver behind the wheel of that BMW at the moment is Nicolas Rubelar, and he's doing a good job, is the Chilean, to just keep the gap at a constant there.
It is, but he needs to get past the Audi sooner rather than later. He's on the soft compound of tyre, and all the time he's behind Audi, he is losing time on that tyre. Here's another replay. This is for 3rd and 4th position, again, the Audi and BMW, and oh, there you go. So Nico getting the braking all kinds of wrong, smashes the Audi into the wall, but I think gets off the throttle and goes, you know, sorry about that, mate, didn't mean to do that, and Audi keeps the position for now. But you're seeing that speed differential between the two tyres there. That medium compound of tyre really struggling compared to the soft.
Warning issued there against BMW, unsurprisingly, following that incident. Meanwhile, Lexus are down in 9th place. They've had that penalty, of course, in the opening stages of this one, following the contact they made that sent Ford tumbling down the order. Now it's all for them to do to try and get some kind of salvaging of a result of their race, and it's going to be a very uphill task for them as they sit down in 9th position as things stand. You can see a warning there against Lexus. Once again, they've collided with another car on track, so it's not going the way of that team and Baptiste Beauvoir, who's behind the wheel of the car early doors here. Meanwhile, we look at Igor Fraga and Matt Simmons on the left-hand side of your screen. Calm and cool as you like. Not only the pressure get to them too much here at the moment.
So, well, looking from the input, it seems that Toyota's a bit more tricky to drive than the Porsche is. It's very stable, that Porsche. So here's another move there, Audi versus BMW. This time down the mountain straight, coming through the chase. Audi has the inside line, but then Mercedes-Benz has the draft on both of them there behind the pit, coming up like a freight train. Let's see what happens here. So BMW on the inside, Audi on the outside, and Mercedes trying to chase through the BMW, but can't quite make it. Audi retains the position of BMW, most importantly, up into 3rd, now putting away. Mercedes-Benz has gone up into 4th, and Hyundai passed as well as Audi plummets down the order.
Well, that is very interesting indeed there for Audi in the opening stage of this one. There was a collision between Mercedes-Benz and Audi at some point. We didn't see on screen, and a penalty being given there for Mercedes. 1 second for the German manufacturer. They're in P4 as things stand at the moment, and they will, in theory, if that gap stays as it is between themselves and Audi, at least drop back into P5 at the moment.
Let's have a look. But meanwhile, from the field, Igor Fraga, again, getting it wrong. A couple of mistakes here from Igor. He's definitely feeling the pressure from Matt, who is just sitting just right next to him there. You can see both drivers in your frame in the bottom left-hand corner at the moment. And again, making a mistake coming down the dipper. This is a ragged drive so far from Igor. We aren't used to seeing this from him. And Matt is really doing very well in that Porsche to keep with Igor Fraga. Matt, again, quick driver. We don't really see him towards the top end of the field, usually in the middle somewhere. But now he's really turned the screw on Igor. And that Porsche, I must say, looks like a dream to drive around here. The mid-engine layout, I think, very much helping in the traction zones compared to this Toyota. Another warning there for Lexus for colliding with another car. It just remains to be seen here for Matt Simmons as well as to whether his teammates are up to the job. Tristan Bayliss and Ino Istra, who are behind the wheel of that car. You can see the Chilean driver there on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That is Team Porsche as it stands. Now, when are they going to duck and dive into the pit lane? A bit too early as things stand, but in the next couple of laps or so, lap 5 is what we're expecting for them to come into the pits. But you never know, we might see them just trying to stretch it out a little bit. We'll see. I mean, they are going to have to.
They have to, of course, because of the number of laps.
Because of the rules, so they're going to have to come in on lap 5. Kind of removes that element of strategy, so to speak here. But again, just using the toe at the moment, Matt is in this kind of odd situation. Meanwhile, Hyundai have gone down to 12th and last. I've just had a glance over at the monitor. I think there was a mistake coming through the chase there. Making mistakes. They've dropped a load of time and now down to 12th. So Hyundai not having a good time out there either at the moment. But we're still on board with Matt Simmons. You can just see how early on the throttle, using the curb on the left there. Now you come to the cutting, move the car to the left-hand side of the circuit, try and break in a straight line here, and then uses his camber. Right, get close there. Well, there you go. And this is where the Porsche is good on traction coming out of the coming uphill there. The Toyota struggles a little bit there, but with the Porsche having the weight over the back, it gets on the power a bit earlier and is able to close the gap slightly. I can see drivers getting ready for their changes of teams. Baptiste Beauvoir for Jaguar is going to get ready to go into his machine. Martin Grady standing by there at Audi. Lexus looking to change drivers, as well as Ford and Hyundai here. So let's keep an eye on things and see what they're going to do. Of course, they're all on the medium and hard compound of tyres, these teams, at the moment. So that is what is expected in terms of the strategy. Have as short a time as you possibly can within the rules, of course, on those tyre compounds. Get them off, get the quicker tyres on, get the other drivers in, see how your strategy plays out. Yeah, of course, getting off those. Aston Martin given the penalty as well. We're seeing a little penalties, but not much footage of why they're happening, unfortunately. Well, as soon as we know, we'll let you know. But it seems now Igor starting to spread the gap a little bit at the lead. Of course, this is a penultimate lap on this set of tyres. They'll be pitting in at the end of next lap to go on to medium or hard tyres, depending on the strategy from there. So we're hearing that Aston Martin actually collided with Lexus earlier on and created quite a large accident. We don't have the replay on screen right now, but that's what happened. So that's why Aston got that quite large penalty. Well, that is very interesting indeed. Through the final corner we go. Then here is the instant replay. Aston Martin versus Lexus. Aston on the inside, Lexus on the outside. Oh dearie me. And contact there, sending Lexus spinning around into the path of Jaguar. That's what happened to Hyundai there. So that is a big shame for 3 teams caught up in there too, through no fault of their own. Lexus through no fault of their own there as well. And you can see Mercedes-Benz and Audi coming into the pit lane, as well as Chevrolet. So they're all getting their tyres off now. Interestingly, from the hard and medium compound of tyres, only ones to change over to soft are Audi, and that of course is Martin Grady, the fastest qualifying driver for that team, getting into the car. That's interesting. We'll see if he has any kind of clean air. That's what I'll be interested to see right now. Saying that's answered my question. Audi come up behind Mercedes and behind Lexus. I don't think we've stopped yet at the moment, but they are both due to stop very shortly themselves. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. So Audi is quick over the top, I think. Not quite as quick down the straights, but quick over the top of the mountain. And of course, Martin was our #1 qualifier in the first session, the overall qualifier. So we know he's got a bit of pace in his car, but can he get by these? He needs to get by these guys quickly, or he's going to lose time on that soft. That's the crucial thing, isn't it? Of course, he's going to be suffering from the dirty air coming into this point in the lap here as well. As they go through the bends, he'll be struggling with a little bit of a reduction of downforce behind the wheel of that Group 3 car, but you can visibly see how much faster it is than the hard compound tyre shod Mercedes-Benz in front. It's now behind the wheel of that car, it is Martin Grady. That graphic on the left-hand side of your screen is incorrect. That is Grady behind
behind the wheel as opposed to Kato, and we can see him really beginning to put in the pressure onto the Mercedes-Benz. Anthony Felix behind the wheel of the car and having to defend with all of his might and talent at the moment, because he is really going to be on the back foot and probably a sitting duck, and that is not going to help him at all, going wide through the cutting then and dropping down. So Audi up into P5, a mistake from Felix, dropping the Mercedes down into 6th.
I think that that's a godsend for Grady there. That Mercedes was not quick over the top of those hard tyres. So Coque Lopez, I'm seeing, getting ready to get into the car for BMW. In come Toyota and in come Porsche then. So we're having our driver swap for the lead and second place at the moment. Now who's getting in the car for each? We have Ryan DeRouche getting in the car for Team Toyota. There he is on your screen at the moment.
And interestingly, I just want to say there that Porsche going onto the hard compound of tyres, BMW and Toyota going onto the mediums here.
Maybe just try and get that out of the way and have a fast finish. That's what they prefer. It's, you know, it depends on where you are. Track position is a big thing around Bathurst, of course. So getting that tyre strategy right, and Toyota being in the front of the field, trying to get a bit of a free rein there. So they're going to go out on the mediums and will likely pull the gap a little bit over Porsche. Here's a replay of what happened to Ant Felix. You see just getting it wrong going down. It was so easy to do that. The rear wants to overtake the front all the way down there. And Ant getting it just wrong and hitting the wall and letting Grady through.
So then Toyota still retain their lead after the pit stop, 1.7 seconds to Porsche, and Porsche now of course on the back foot and going to be dropping back here on the harder compound of tyres. So just worth bearing that in mind at this stage, because they will be slower in the mid stages but in theory faster towards the latter stages of this one. There you can see Porsche in the background, and that gap is increasing by a couple of tenths of a second every few corners or so. Meanwhile, of course, Audi should be the team on the move here and closing the gap down to BMW in P3, because they are on the softer compound of tyres, BMW on the slower medium compound here.
Yeah, I mean, tyre compound makes a big difference around this circuit. We saw the medium tyre about 1.1 seconds slower, the hard about 2.2, around there. Ford coming back through the field after being ejected from the circuit on the first lap. They've opted to go onto the hard compound of tyres there, so they're going to try a long middle stint, or a shorter middle stint, and maybe try and have a fast finish on the medium compound of tyres. Here comes BMW down the hill right now. Coque Lopez currently at the wheel of that car. They're on the medium compound of tyre too. So what they're trying to do right now is trying to close the gap as much as they can to Porsche in front. Meanwhile, man on the move is Martin Grady, of course, on that soft compound of tyre, really throwing this mid-engine Audi over the mountain. Now through Forest Elbow, almost touching their wall on the right. You have to drive at that wall. It's very hard to do as a driver and not touch it, but that's why these guys are the pros. And then just take the line of least resistance all the way down the hill now. You can see that's a gap visually back to Mercedes-Benz. That's what 3 seconds looks like on the circuit. And now coming through the chase, easy flat in these Group 3 cars. And meanwhile, we go back to Ford, Alfa and Lexus, who now are fighting on the circuit. Ford are going to be a bit of a sitting duck here with the hard compound of tyres. Alfa and Lexus are both on the medium shod compound, so not the quickest tyre to be on, but significantly faster than the hard compound. You can see Ford there trying to defend. Adam Tapai behind the wheel. Side by side they go into the left-hander, but they're way too deep into there. They're far too hot. Alfa go off. They lose out to Lexus, and Ford and Lexus inherit those positions. So a mistake there, way too late on the brakes for Alfa Romeo, and it has cost them 2 positions here. Yeah, a bit of a cheer of... it was a cheer then despair from the Japanese crowd as Shogo Yoshida went to explore the gravel trap. But that was very clever driving there by Topei. Just kind of saw that coming from, you know what, you have the inside, you're going off, and then just cut back across, don't lose any time. And that's the way you want to do it. So Ford there in the Ford GT. Always nice to see that car on circuit. Beautiful thing, of course, a little bit old by today's standards, but that's a glory of GT3 racing. They're all BOP to race together anyway. Exactly right, and well, Ford doing a good job here of just defending from Lexus, but Lexus, of course, going to be a bit faster, as we said. Same situation here is Alfa Romeo versus Jaguar, up into the right-hander of Griffin's. Side by side they come, Jaguar on the inside, Alfa Romeo lose out, they lose 9th position, and keep an eye out for Aston Martin, very close now behind Alfa Romeo. They have really cost themselves a lot of time here and a lot of a chance to compete very well in the top 10 stages of this race, because they're now really coming under pressure from Aston Martin. So that simple mistake that he made just by running too hot into the chicane last time around has cost them now 3 positions, and potentially allowing Aston Martin to close up and challenge here as well. Tell you what, comparing that 4C to the Aston, the old Aston Vantage, it's a brick, Aston Martin compared to the 4C. Coming down the dipper now, again, very easy to have the rear brake loose here. You have gravity working against you, so to speak, and you see Lexus there just grabbing a little bit of grass there and getting the car sideways. A reminder, a lot of these guys tend not to run traction control because they think it's quicker, so they can rotate the car a bit easier. And there you go, a nice view back, and having that big Lexus in your mirror is always a little bit scary because now it has a slipstream and we're coming down to one of the fastest parts of the circuit. There's a Corvette there just in the Chevy Corvette just ahead of us. Coming over now the rise and back down to the chase, and Lexus of course getting closer and closer. Here we are on board, 280 kilometers now and nearly 290 now before breaking uphill. You see Ford covering the inside, and Carrazza is forced to try and get the switch back, and he does. Expertly done there by Carrazza, but he's still got the Ford on the outside, but now he's got himself on the inside for the last corner. This is Murray's corner here, and easy. For he goes up into 7th place.
Great stuff there for Lexus, seizing the opportunity when it mattered. For the Japanese manufacturer, of course, having won the Manufacturer Series last year, they've very much been on the back foot so far in 2019. Let's see whether they can turn their fortunes around here, though. Of course, this result will decide the grid for the next race. Meanwhile, Audi have done a great job of shrinking that gap down to BMW. 2.6 seconds it now sits at, with Martin Grady behind the wheel of the car, but he'll have to be making his final pit stop before too long in this race. Now here are Ford. They are challenging once again against Lexus. Up into Griffin's Bend we go. Lexus on the tighter inside line, but they hold the apex, they hold track position. Meanwhile, Alfa and Aston Martin have got an incident under investigation for those two teams, colliding with another car. We haven't seen what's happened, but clearly one of those drivers, one of those teams at fault.
We'll see, we'll get a replay of that at some point. And meanwhile, from the field, same old story. Toyota at the moment leading by 6 seconds. Of course, that gap was bound to go up with the tyre difference between them and Porsche. BMW, of course, there as well. But 6 seconds is a long time now. They can pretty much stop and comfortably come out ahead of where they were before.
It's about 1.1 seconds what we saw on the strategy between the difference of tyre performance on the medium and hard compounds. Now, of course, Toyota will be on the hard compound at the end, Porsche on the medium. But if it's 1.1 seconds and there's only 4 laps left, I mean, they're going to have a really, really strong run at the end of this race to try and shrink that gap down enough. And, of course, to at least try and attack and get past.
Well, you have a Toyota specialist getting in the car next, which is Yamanaka. He hasn't got his gloves on just yet, so I'm not sure he's that bothered about getting in the car. I think they've got a couple more laps. It'll be end of this lap he'll be in, I should say, because there'll be 4 laps remaining there, and he'll work through the hard compound of tyres. So we'll probably see Yamanaka. We can just see him from our commentary booth here, get his gloves on and get ready to get in the car. But he's going to be hard to beat, especially around here.
Well then, here is Audi. They've shrunk that gap down, as we said, to BMW. You can see that now significantly smaller than it was a few laps ago. Now under 2 seconds for the first time in this race, and that is very impressive there from Martin Grady. Here's the incident between Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo down in towards Murray's Bend, and his Jaguar involved. Let's see what happens. A little bit of a slip and a slide, a bit of contact. Oh, and Alfa just drops it on the grass there. They were shuffled.
Yeah.
They were a little bit wide, weren't they? But
I think that was fair there. It was just Alfa mistake, having got onto the grass, spun the car around and said, no TC. So as soon as you touch the grass, around you go. And that was Alfa having that day go from bad to worse. But
final pit stops now taking place. You can see everybody going onto the soft compound of tyres from 6th position down then. So that'll be a nice, interesting scrap as they come out of the pit lane. Anthony Felix now out of the car. Tom Lartiu behind the wheel of the machine.
Bonjour, Storm.
Bonjour, Storm, indeed. Alfa then make their final pit stop in this one, as we were looking at it then. Alonso Regalado, the Peruvian driver, will take behind the wheel of that car. Then Hyundai also coming out there as well. It's been a quiet race so far for Hyundai for the most part. Anthony Duval behind the wheel of that machine, the Frenchman. Now here are Mercedes-Benz. Tom Lartiu, we know how quick he can be on that soft compound. Maybe they'll do something to try and close that gap down to Lexus in P5. It's 5 seconds or so, so if he has a good outlap and he's got no traffic here, this could be pretty interesting in the closing stages of the race for the top 5.
Well, this is the fun bit. If you're the driver in the car with a soft compound and a tyre that's chasing, it's always fun to chase the car in front and see that time has come down and down as you do. Whether there is enough time, as you say, to be able to do anything from this position, that remains to be seen. But here is Toyota, and Yamanaka, as predicted, has disappeared from the sofa. He's now waiting to get in the car. They'll be pitting in this lap to go onto the hard compounder tyre and trying to finish off his race. Porsche have fallen back a bit more, 8.8 seconds down, nearly 9 seconds is the gap. BMW 4 seconds, and then Audi behind them by 1.6. There you go, pitting into the pit lane. Toyota coming in to make their last stop.
Place your bets then. Let's see what happens in the closing stages of this one. Hard compound of tyres will go on there for Toyota. And will they have to take any fuel on board? I think they'll be all right to the end of this race then. So that'll be pretty good for them. Porsche also into the pit lane here now as well. So medium to hard for Toyota, hard to medium for Porsche. BMW coming in. They're also going onto the hard compound of tyres, as are Audi there as well. Audi changing from Martin Grady to Hayden Hunter behind the wheel. And now Toyota, can they retain their lead with Porsche on the medium compound of tyres? It's going to be interesting. They've taken on their fuel here, so that's going to really compromise them potentially in these closing stages. A longer pit stop means they're going to be even further back than they would like, and now 9.1 seconds with fewer than 3 laps remaining is going to be a very hard task, pretty much undoable for Inostra, who's behind the wheel of that car at the moment.
It's going to be a mistake from Yamanaka if anything's going to happen at this point. We did see him earlier on not having that good of a time in the DR Supra Cup race, and maybe isn't in the best of form right now, but I think people would have calmed down by then, and even on this hard compounder tyre should have an easy time keeping out in the lead. But we've seen mistakes earlier on the race from Igor, something we don't expect to see, so anything can happen.
Porsche then really putting the pressure down here now, and this is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. It's come down by a few tenths of a second already here on this lap, but here are Mercedes-Benz. Now they are on the soft compacted tyres, and they are only, crucially, 3.9 seconds adrift of Audi, who are now on the harder compound of tyres, and subsequently they are only 1.5 seconds behind BMW, just up the road in front here as well. So this could be very interesting here. We know how quick Tom Lartiu is behind the wheel of that car, and he's got the bit between his teeth, and as you said here, Jimmy, dream situation for him here.
Yeah, very much in the hunt mode at the moment, and Audi is the next target. You can see just corner by corner the gap is coming down. Here is the battle for 6th and 7th, just behind that, two American manufacturers, and oh man, Ford nearly making a big mistake coming down the hill, just kept it out of the barriers there, and there are drivers. It was Fenderman in the Chevy and Wilk there in the Ford. He's been a Ford driver for quite a while now. Great to see him stick with the same manufacturer, but really Wilk nearly had a big crash coming down, which again, that's the revoked Australian citizenship if you crash it that hurt. So.
Goodness me. Well, Adam Wilk doing a good job there of keeping the constant pressure on. Aston Martin had just picked up a small penalty there. I think that might have been for exceeding track limits, because we haven't seen anything under investigation. They're down in P10, and it's been a race to forget so far for Aston Martin with the incidents that we have seen on screen. And this is actually really good for Ford, considering they were punted off at the first corner through no fault of their own, to be battling inside the top 7 and now challenging for the top 6. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out here. Now, Mercedes versus Aston Martin's getting pretty interesting. They're not quite close enough to challenge at the moment, but it's now down to under 1 second between the two German manufacturers, so you can guarantee that Tom Lartiu is going to be trying to challenge here, and you can see it's now visibly down even smaller than that, 0.4 of a second between Audi and Aston Martin. Up we go in towards Griffin's Bend for the 11th time out of 13 of asking, and look at how much more grip he's got under brakes there. Look at the smile on his face, and here comes Audi then defending, trying to from Tom Lartiu, but they've got no answer to the Mercedes-Benz, the soft compound of tyres. They go through into P4. Great driving there from Tom Lartiu, up the hill and through into P4, and look in front, that is BMW. They could be on for a podium here.
I think it's very, very likely. The pace of this Mercedes-Benz is ridiculous right now. I was speaking to Tom earlier on. He said the speed just isn't quite there in this car, but the car is still stable. It just shows in his confidence. He's really, you see the throttle input there down to the right-hand side. On the throttle so early everywhere, and on the brakes very late, leaving it nearly to his, at the apex of a dipper there before he starts getting on the brakes. A little bit of understeer though on the way down, so maybe getting a bit too confident there is Tom. But you can see the gap through the corners to BMW. That's getting the BMW in front getting bigger and bigger as the lap goes on. Coming through Forest Elbow now, almost touching the walls on both the inside and the outside. And importantly, he's got himself in range of the toe. So a great middle sector there from Tom.
This is fantastic. Down the Conrod straight we go then, riding on board with Tom Lartiu. You can see Randall Hayward in the BMW now having to try and defend is the American driver, and he's a bit of a sitting duck in this stage of the race. Coming through the chase, if he can get a good run, he might be able to launch something into the chicane. He's a bit too far back. A tail end of $1 short. Oh, that was late on the brakes there from Mercedes-Benz. I thought there might have been a bit more of contact there, but he was able to keep it on the straight and narrow, and now he has to go for the outside line as Hayward defends into the final corner. But on to lap 12 here, Jimmy. It's hotting up for the podium.
Yeah, at this point I think it's going to be a matter of just not if but when for Mercedes versus BMW, and coming now to Hell Corner for the penultimate time. And again, Tom is in the right place. He's in the slipstream. He's going to just pull to the left. Even with that, a better exit in the BMW. It's going to be a drag race now up the hill. Who's got the most grunt, BMW or Mercedes? It's looking like the Mercedes right now, but BMW starting to pull back now. He still has the inside line just about. I think Tom is just going to get by. He does, and Randall Hayward decides, you know what, I can't fight this guy. And Tom goes up into third position. That's a podium place for him. Next car up is Porsche, but they are 6 or 7 seconds up the road. It's looking unlikely, but never say never.
They would need a mistake there from Porsche, surely, to try and close that gap down in the closing stages of this one. But We have seen that take place. We've seen quite a few mistakes from a few drivers over the course of this one, and of course the grand final race is coming up very shortly indeed for the Manufacturer Series, so it is definitely all to play for here for these drivers. But great there from Tom Lartiu, and great here from Toyota. Behind the wheel of that car at the moment is Tomoki Yamanaka, and he's done a good job at keeping that gap very nicely there to Porsche. And I think ultimately what didn't help Porsche here in these closing stages is the fact they took fuel on in their final pit stop. It just increased that gap a little bit too far.
Yeah, I mean, that the gap was there already. I'm not sure even if without the extra fuel they would have made it anywhere close to Toyota. The first couple of stints from Igor and Ryan were just fantastic and put Yamanaka in a position where he could just essentially cruise around and just enjoy the drive. But of course, it's not like that for everyone down the field. We have Chevy and Jaguar still fighting each other. Of course, we had the new announcement recently of the new Jaguar GT Vision car coming to GT Sport very shortly, and let's see if they can do that proud as we come down to the chase once more. And easy overtake. Kenny Economos there on the left, looking very calm, going up the inside of the Corvette using the slipstream on the brakes. Thank you very much, sir. Up into 7th.
Nicely done there for Jaguar. Great from Chevrolet as well to just do a good job defending and not getting too carried away on the brakes. We have seen that a couple of times, and here comes Chevrolet. They're trying to attack back against Jaguar, but Kenny Economos is wise to that and does hold on that position in P7. On to the final lap we are now then here. Toyota leading the way, 7.5 seconds, the advantage over Porsche. And what a great drive, what great strategy here as well from the Toyota team. You can guarantee they'll have been working it out. And look at Tomoki Yamanaka just driving that car nice and smooth, keeping it on the straight and narrow. He's got this one, if it stays as it is, sewn up and in the bag.
Yeah, just enjoy this lap. If I were Yamanaka, it's nice to be leading with this amount. There's absolutely zero pressure right now. He could drive around, make several mistakes, and still come away quite easily the victor of this one. Only about a minute or so to go of this lap separates Toyota from their first victory, perhaps here at Tokyo. But still a very challenging course lying in his way. Coming down the dipper then for the last time. Hug the car onto the inside there. Watch out for understeer towards the curbs. Then try and make sure you break in a straight line coming down to Forest Elbow. Again, inside, all the grip is right there. Then drive to the exit, almost aim for the wall. The Falcon sign there on the right. And then nice and easy down here. Conrad Straight, line of least resistance. And there you go, nearly done for Yamanaka. Only a few corners to go.
So then Porsche gave it as good as they could, but down the Conrod Straight, Toyota have done a fantastic performance, and Tomoki Yamanaka, a flash of the lights there to acknowledge that one. Through into the chase for the final time. They've got the chicane to negotiate, and then the final corner of Murray's. And this race has been absolutely brilliant from Toyota. Great strategy, great pace, and great consistency from all of their drivers. One more corner from home then from Tomoki Yamanaka. Through into it now, and out of it, and over the line here in Mount Panorama. They take the win in race 1 for the Manufacturer Series in Tokyo. Fist pumping in the air there for Toyota. And Porsche, well, they're 7 seconds down, but that is a really strong performance from them. They tried as hard as they could. Ultimately, the medium tyres at the end of that race weren't quite enough to close down that gap to Toyota. And Mercedes-Benz, a great drive, especially from Tom Lartiu at the end of that one, to overhaul the BMW of Randall Hayward and finish on the podium.
Yep, a big great drive from Tom. We saw that coming with the soft tyres being very strong at the end there. Good race from BMW and Audi, and Ford doing very well to recover to 6th place after being in the gravel trap at T1. So a good recovery from them, but not the race they would have wanted.
No, certainly not. There is Lexus, then Chevrolet, then Aston Martin. They were in the wars over that one, weren't they? As well, Lexus, they were under investigation seemingly quite a lot over the course of that race. They got away relatively lightly with the finish, but it could be all to play for and could be all set to change here in the grand final coming up very, very shortly indeed. What are your highlights from that race, Jimmy?
I mean, it's got to be just the opening stint. I was very interested to see a lot of people trying to make the overtakes into the cutting on the first lap. Not really a place to overtake. That and just Igor Fraga's mistakes, really. It's weird to see that. I know, we talk about Fraga a lot. Of course, but hearing him or seeing him make those mistakes is just odd. And also, a great drive from Matt Simmons, again, to stay there and be within a shot. Just a shame that they didn't really come together to challenge there in the end for the win. Yeah,
just the gap was a bit too far, wasn't it? A bridge too far, and of course, having, as we said, taken on fuel a little bit towards the end of that one, just sort of magnified that gap, didn't it? It just made things just a little bit too far for them. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out here in the grand final. Of course, same situation, strategy, tyres, fuel, all of that sort of stuff, and they've got to do it all over again and try and pull a blinder here, Toyota, to, in theory, hopefully, try and challenge for the win on home soil.
Yeah, hopefully for them, of course. For us, I hope we see some competitor elsewhere. I'm very much thinking that Porsche do have a chance in the second race, but we'll have to wait and see. Something else I noticed as well, it's a bit messy in the midfield this time, wasn't it? We usually see a couple of instances, but I feel like there was something constantly going on through that section. So a bit of a shame from those guys, but hopefully they can get a bit of a run next time out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be having some replays very shortly indeed of the race, and just guide you through some highlights. I mean, Ford's race, we thought it was over by the first corner, and it significantly compromised them. Let's not forget that, because of course they finished in P7. They could have potentially challenged for top 5 maybe. Who knows? We will never know the answer to that one. But it's interesting. That's the way racing goes, though, sometimes.
Maybe, but a bit of a shame for them. And but just waiting right now for some replays. I want some highlights. Here they are now on the left-hand side of your screen. And here is Lexus. This was a mistake we saw at the start. You see getting a penalty there, and Audi there being very much the cork in the bottle at the in the mid of the field. Here was Toyota and their pass for the lead on Porsche. Nice and easy from them. And here they go coming down into one. And here was Matt Simmons, Mint GTR, as you may know from the online forum, doing a good job of hanging with Igor Fraga, our nation's champion from last year. And here was a Mercedes-Benz making that mistake. That was Ant Felix, which allowed Audi through, of course, and gave Tom Latiou a little bit more time to get through. So here were the first of our pit stops. And again, Toyota, Tom actually managing to extend that gap. Here was Alfa Romeo exploring the gravel trap, but not a good race for them, really.
Bit of rally crossing there for Alfa Romeo. Here's Lexus on the attack against Ford. And this was a great little drive, just sensing the opportunity exactly when they needed to, finding their way past as Toyota continued to lead the way. Here are the pit stops then for Toyota, the last pit stop that they made, and their gap was just a little bit more pronounced at the end of that pit stop. Then Porsche just weren't able to challenge. Here was Mercedes-Benz, Tom Latiou behind the wheel of that car, getting ahead in the very closing stages there then of that race. BMW versus Mercedes-Benz, as we saw, and Mercedes getting through up into the rise up the hill in turns 3 and 4. But Toyota, well, they were the class of the field. A great drive from all three of them. Tomoki Yamanaka taking the flag for the Japanese manufacturer. You can see the race time there on your screen and what it meant to the Porsche team to finish in P2 there as well. Hugely impressive stuff. But what does it mean for Mercedes-Benz to finish in P3? Well, thankfully, we've got the man who has got all the answers here in theory. But Cody Nikolakowski joins us in the commentary box. And, well, Cody, great to have you here. Thanks very much for joining
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
You're very tall, Cody.
You're making us look really short. Or get a box to stand on. No, very impressive stuff, actually.
Thank you.
And just talk to us about that race. How did you guys decide all the strategy?
I mean, we saw that qualifying really didn't go away. I was in charge for the general qualifier, and I just simply didn't get a good lap in. And we thought that Bathurst is a good track for the AMG GT, and we're actually matching other cars that on pace with worse tires. So we decided we can get some overtakes done on the medium. We don't have to suffer any pace disadvantage on the hards. And yeah, I love Bathurst, so we decided to put me on the start. And yeah, made, I don't know, 3 positions. Unfortunately got a small penalty with Audi. Then we gave it to Anthony, who did a really good job. Unfortunately made a small mistake at the start of his stint. But yeah, and then he just maintained that gap to Audi. We gave it to Tom, and Tom just
took off like a rocket.
He smashed it. I mean, I couldn't have been more proud of my teammates. Tom and Anthony, they're the ones that I need to say that they are the ones that made this result. And this is a start of a comeback. Hopefully we can get on the podium, and you never know, we might even fight for the win.
How do you think, Cody, for the next race? Do you reckon you have a chance of getting up there and doing the same, or not quite there? The car, how are you feeling about it?
Majora is it's okay track for us, but we'll do our best no matter what. It's Mercedes-Benz. It's a really strong brand. We're going to do our best to represent it in the best light as possible. Yeah, hopefully we can win it 3 in a row.
Yeah, who knows? Well, yeah. Let's see. Wish you the very best of luck there, Cody. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and let's see how they get on over the course of this one. All the drivers now beginning to warm up ahead of the grand final race here for the Manufacturer Series for World Tour 5 in Tokyo. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all gets on. Let's take a closer look, though, at Porsche, shall we? They had a really, really good run in that, finishing in P2 last time out. Great drive from all of those guys. Great pace, especially in the early stages from Matt Simmons.
Yeah, and again, I don't think they expected to be there, frankly. Again, you saw the reaction after the race. They're all cheering, yes, second place. But Porsche, again, in the last event, they were second in both manufacturers' races. Are we going to see a repeat of that? I mean, I'm sure they don't want to see that, but that's looking like it could go that way at the moment, given the pace of that car.
It's the Coque Lopez effect, isn't it? Always finishing second. Goodness me.
Poor Coque, he won't want to hear that.
Yeah, no, he won't.
He said that, not me.
We're only
right?
talking in jest. Let's take a look. Tristan Bayliss, driver for the Porsche team. We knew he had a good package going in, especially on wet tracks. We communicated with great aplomb, there's a word, and figured out strategies beforehand. It resulted in us becoming an effective team, says Tristan Bayliss.
So aplomb plumbers or plums?
Or
That's what I get
it
out of
resulted
that.
in us becoming great plumbers.
I know, yeah. I mean, you're seeing the IQ here, the English commentary booth. It's not very high.
Well, there you go, Porsche. There you go. You can see the point standings on your screen. So Toyota at the top of the table with 12 points. The Plumbers in second place with 10 points. Mercedes-Benz in third there with 8 points. And then, of course, you saw just the BMW team. Randall Hayward sat there giving us a bit of a thumbs up. And they sit there in P4.
Yeah, not a bad race from them either. I mean, again, another car which is in the top end. Will they have the pace to come back in this next race? We'll see. But that's the great thing about that, is we have two different races, two very different races, I think it's fair to say. We'll go into the track in a minute. It's the one you probably all know and love. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, strategy's always interesting, wasn't it? And we saw a difference in strategy, some starting on the hard, the mediums, the softs, and opting for, the different middle stint. And I think that stint could often be quite, the most crucial over the course of the race, depending on when you take fuel on board, of course, what tyres you're on, what sort of traffic you're in, and so on and so forth.
Well, ideally, the goal is if you're on the fast tyre, you want to be on your own. If you're on the hard tyre, you want to be messing with other people. That is a strategy. But at the same time, trying to not lose too much time. It's a horrible balance.
It's a horrible knife edge, isn't it? That's the thing. And these drivers doing a great job of turning things around. So we're about ready then to get the grand final for the Manufacturer Series underway here in Tokyo. It's to come very shortly. Indeed, as Cody was saying, the Lego Maggiore circuit, a fictional track on GT Sport, very different to what we had in Bathurst.
Yeah, very different indeed, and a different flow there, of course. Not as much elevation around here. A lot more stop-start corners, a lot tighter circuits. So the cars with better mechanical grip will have a better time around here, I think.
Yeah, absolutely right. Don't forget, of course, you can get in touch and tell us your Michelin driver of the day over the course of here this weekend and tonight here for the Manufacturer Series. Hashtag Michelin FIA GTC. Get in touch with us. Let us know who your driver of the day is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media it might be. We'd really love to hear from you, and we'll be talking to them in our Extra Lap show coming up afterwards as well. Got the plug in there. Nice.
Yeah, make sure to watch that. Please watch. That's how we do it. See, this is what they hire me, influencer, right?
Yeah, mega stuff. Let's take a look at some highlights, shall we, from the World Tour event so far this year.
Mercedes-Benz, they become the first ever back-to-back winners.
So then, that was a brief look at the World Tour events for the Manufacturer Series so far in 2019. I tell you what, if it's even half as good as any of the ones we've seen so far this year, we're in for a cracker.
Tell you what, that jet lag combined with a sore throat makes it very difficult. I tell you that now. But these guys have already shown their intention. We've had a lot of action in race 1. I foresee even more in race 2 at Lego Maggiore.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, of course, the drivers, random starting order not starting order on the grid, but in terms of the drivers they will start with, there's no correlation between the last race and the next race. It's completely a clean sheet for them. So, of course, it will be Toyota who start from pole, Porsche in second, etc., etc. But it is going to be very interesting to see who they opt for early doors, what sort of strategy, whether they'll go for softs, mediums, hards, and so on and so forth. If you were in this position, Jimmy, if it was you out there racing now, what would you be doing?
Probably preparing my exit at T1. It's hard to do. I mean, if you're at the front of the grid, you want to put in a quick driver on soft tyres, get them as far out as possible, just make a gap. If you're at the back of the grid, then maybe take a gamble, maybe try some mediums, maybe try and make up a few spots. But you have to factor in that you're going to be fighting people. When you're fighting people on track, you're just constantly losing time. Anyway, so let's go to our circuit. Of course, as you heard from Cody, it is going to be Lago Maggiore, the GP circuit, just over 5 kilometres in length, as Tom said earlier, very different from Bathurst. A lot more tighter corners here, which means that cars with better mechanical grip are probably going to have a better time around here. So watch out for likes of cars like Audi with that mid-engine layout. Very decent in the corners as well. Not much elevation change, only 74 metres between the lowest point and the highest point of the circuit, but still a very fun track, and definitely a driver favourite, this one, Tom.
It certainly is. Yeah, they absolutely love a bit of Lago Maggiore, don't they? Here are the race details for you. You can see there 17 corners for Lago Maggiore. 18 laps for these drivers to compete with in the Group 3 machines. Now, of course, racing hard, medium and soft compound of tyres. They must use each tyre a minimum of 5 laps in this race. Tyre wear, of course, times 4, and fuel consumption times 2. That's 5 laps in a row. They can't change tyres, more than 3 times over the course of this race, effectively. So you can see there, racing softs, they'll get about 7 laps out of those before they start dropping off. Racing mediums, you want to be off of those after 6 laps. They're about 7/10 of a lap slower. And then racing hards, of course, 1.9 seconds slower. So get off of those as soon as you can. 5 laps done, change them as quick as possible.
Yeah, important to note, this isn't so much a wear chart, more what we predict will happen in this. So we think the soft tyre will be used for the longer periods of time. Of course, the racing hard tyre has to be used for 5 laps, but some people might be able to make that racing soft go 8 laps and only do 5 laps on the medium. So it depends. If there's a driver out there that's good on their tyres, they may be able to make that racing soft tyre last even longer.
Here's the starting grid, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll guide you through it properly in a few moments' time. Here are the drivers then, just warming themselves up ever so slightly and getting themselves ready for this one. As you said, very different challenge to the Mount Panorama circuit. A little bit more room for error with some more runoff here, so if they do make a few mistakes, it won't be a collision with the wall, but really a collision with the grass. But I mean, you don't want to be making mistakes either way. That's the thing.
I mean, yeah, stay on the circuit. Jimmy's
black stuff. Stay on the black
top
stuff.
tip. Have that for free.
We'll get a hashtag going. Jimmy's top tip. Stay on the black stuff.
What did you say that? No, that's not a hashtag. We'll leave that. We'll get rid of that. But
oh my goodness.
The team's preparing for the race and hopefully not hashtagging that right now, as we say. We have Igor Fraga on our screen up here on the big screen here, and again, I can't stress enough just how big our live audience is today. It's easily our biggest live audience. We have a floor down here which is absolutely packed at the moment with fans, and up on the little mezzanine level, as you said, just on the balcony, people leaning over that to get a better view. It's great to see.
It's mega, and it's been so busy all day here at the Mega Web. Actually, I mean, we were having a meeting actually earlier on about just before the broadcast, and they said, "Oh, it's over in another room over the other side." And you're thinking, "Okay, I'll just walk there. It'll be 2 minutes," and then before you know it, 5-6 minutes later, you're there because there's a crowd of people that you've got to get yourself through. It's pretty mega. It's really exciting, and it's great to see people so enthusiastic about the Tokyo Motor Show.
Definitely. Of course, esports on the rise, and this is a massive, it's just massive proof of that, isn't it? Great to see.
Absolutely, yeah. We're about ready then to get the grand final for the Manufacturer Series underway here very, very shortly indeed. Just final preparations taking place, but it is time then to get the race underway at the Lago Maggiore circuit. It is time for the grand final of the Manufacturer Series for the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. And here then is how the grid lines up.
So Toyota there on pole, Igor Fraga starting again the car here. Let's see what he can do from pole position. Meanwhile, Matt Simmons opting to start the Porsche again for the second time in a row. And then in third position, it's going to be, we haven't got the driver there, I think it's Cody starting the car down in third. Then in fourth, we have BMW. Starting their car. We've lost our drivers here, but we can go through that. Audi in fifth position.
Yep.
Then down in sixth. I think you've got that there, Tom.
Yeah, Kato starting behind the wheel of the car. Then with the Ford, we've got Adam Wilt behind the wheel of the machine there. Jaguar, they start up in 7th position. Kenny Kanomos behind the wheel, he starts for that team. Then Chevrolet, they've got Aguilar behind the wheel of their machine. Work to do from Aston Martin for 9th position on the grid, and Aston Martin have got Nick McMillan, so keep an eye out for the American driver, former GT Academy champion. Lexus line up in P10, and they've got Baptiste Beauvoir behind the wheel. Hyundai in 11th position, Connor Healy starts for that team. And then Alfa Romeo 12th and last on the grid. It's Danny Solis behind the wheel of that machine.
So then the guys getting ready to start off the grand final here at Tokyo. World Tour 5, haven't they just flown by? Igor Fraga in a very familiar position. Worth noting that himself, Mercedes-Benz and BMW opting for that soft tyre compound, whereas Porsche in second place, who are going to go for the medium tyre, and I think try and cause a bit of bother before we go from there. So the drivers now just winding themselves up. This is the bit in the cockpit where you take a couple of deep breaths, think, right, okay, think of a strategy I've got to do, and let's try and execute it to the best of my ability now. We're coming round now the second to last corner, and after that we'll be on the pit straight to start off here at Lego Maggiore.
The grand final for the Manufacturers Series here for World Tour 5 in Tokyo, about to get underway. Toyota will lead the field over the timing line then, but the grand final at the Lago Maggiore circuit in Italy for the FIA GT Championships is about to get underway. The Manufacturers Series grand final in Tokyo is go. Toyota leads the field over the line. Porsche darting into the slipstream as well as Mercedes-Benz. Will we see any moves being made? Look at Mercedes-Benz trying to challenge Porsche as Porsche tries to go the long way around the outside. And here comes BMW on the inside of Mercedes through T2. Side by side they come. A bit of a wiggle there from BMW, but on the inside they are against Mercedes. Side by side they still run as they come into the left-hander. Mercedes have lost out then, and BMW are up into P3.
Bit of contact there back as well, but it wasn't too bad. Porsche, of course, in that medium compounder tyre, you're already seeing the difference. Toyota running away a little bit at the front of the field, and then Matt Simmons struggling a little bit in that Porsche, but the longer he can keep those guys behind, the better for their race. Coming down now to a heavy braking zone. This is the absolutely fantastic cambered corner here, going around surface tyre. Mercedes-Benz contact with BMW, and the BMW just about managing to gather that back up again, but I think just a little bit of a mistake there from the Mercedes driver.
Well, there you go. That is Tom Lartiu, who's behind the wheel of the car at the moment, and he's made a bit of an error early doors there. Incident under investigation. No malice involved, of course, but that mistake could potentially cost them both a little bit of time here in these opening stages and just allow a bit of a buffer. You can see a warning there being given to Mercedes. Right call of action here in these opening stages.
Yeah, no, again, no malice, of course, but you do have to assign blame to someone. It was Mercedes' fault there. However, that has allowed Porsche to kind of have a breath of fresh air for now. However, long left-hander here, and here's where the tyre difference really comes into play. You see Porsche and Matt Simmons just struggling to get out of that corner, and all the while this is allowing Igor Fraga in that Toyota to pull away at the front of the field. Now coming around to a twitchy session here, we've just saw it on camera, we'll see it again. Here was Mercedes-Benz just braking a little bit too late. Tom not quite getting the braking right, a little bit of a biff there, didn't quite make the pass on BMW, and I think that for that reason the stewards decided no further action.
Thankfully didn't punt him off into the gravel trap. Could have been far worse there, but here are Porsche now having to defend from BMW. BMW on the inside. The soft compound of tyres proved to be beneficial as Porsche ran wide through the first corner, the last corner rather I should say, onto the start finish straight over the timing line. Now it is BMW into P2 and Mercedes trying to attack their fellow German manufacturers. Down the start finish straight we go in towards T1. Mercedes on the inside, Tom Lartiu behind the wheel and up into third place. So the medium compound of tyres proving to obviously not be the fastest here in these opening stages, but Porsche losing out quite big time here in these opening stages.
Very confident move there from Tom Lartiu, who just knew the car was going to stick, drove it in hard to the corner, took the inside line, and that was it. Matt Simmons had nothing in reply on that medium compounder tyre. So as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, tyre compound, soft, soft, soft. Mediums in the middle and hard at the back, as we expect to see at this stage of the race. And importantly for the soft runners now, they can just try and focus on using that tyre to the best of their ability. This is what you want to do on a soft tyre, try and gain as much time as possible. On board now with Tom Lartiu, Bonjour Storm again, as you can see on your left-hand side, just really looking fairly calm. He chats a lot to his team, I've noticed, Tom. He's always talking. In the background there, Porsche and Audi. Audi coming back up the field now using the slipstream. Both of these cars are MR cars, so enjoy the corners a bit more than the straights. But it seems that Audi is having a good run of things at the moment.
Toshihiro Kato behind the wheel of that car at the moment, on board with Audi. Sorry, as you can see him there through into the right-hander. There is the Porsche. That at the moment is being driven by Matthew Simmons, and here is the move being made here by Audi. They're trying to attack Porsche running wide. They get the switchback. lovely on the inside, bit squirrely under braking, through to the left, they run wide, and that allows Porsche to come back through into 4th place.
I thought he had it done there, but I think he's just took a bit too much speed. You see, he nearly lost the car on entry, just about managed to bring it back a little bit. He might decide now to put his brake.
Further up, Mercedes versus BMW. Sorry, Jimmy, to cut in front of you. Mercedes now into P2 ahead of BMW, so that is very interesting here.
Yeah, we missed that, Tom, very well to spot that on the standings there, but again, Tom really showing his intention in that Mercedes-Benz. Now let's see if he can chase down Igor. That's the big question now. 2.5 seconds between them. Here is the move, and you see just at the last second pulls out, takes the inside line, and well driven by both drivers there to avoid any sort of big contact, and Tom up into 2nd place in the Mercedes.
What Nicholas Rubler unawares going into that corner. I think that was a very late lunge for Mercedes-Benz. Now Porsche up into 4th place, but have got Audi all over their gearbox trying to find their way through. Gap's just increased a couple of tenths of a second over the last lap or so as they've been squabbling amongst one another, but now the pressure, as you said, Jimmy, is on Tom Lartiu. Can he close down the gap to the Toyota? Behind the wheel of that Toyota at the moment is Igor Fraga, the man who we know loves a bit of clear air. The thing here for Mercedes is they need to not get involved in the battle with BMW, because if they do, it's going to cost them both time.
It is, and I wonder if they'll both be thinking that. You see in the mirror there, and I try to write how close the BMW got in the braking zone. I think that car a little bit better under the brakes. You see Tom very violently turning to the left. He did that to try and break the toe to the BMW behind. He doesn't want to fight. He wants to just try and get as many good times in as possible. Getting a flash of the lights there from the BMW driver. And it's like, hey, look at me, don't look at where you're going instead. Sometimes that works, but these guys are pros, so it's very unlikely.
Through into the right-hander, and then the left we go. These S-Benz, they absolutely cane the tyres, and you can see there Tom Lartiu just taking a lot of curb there on the inside through the left-hander.
Wasn't he? Going through there, but still looks like I think that the BMW is actually quicker right now, but Tom really caught him off unaware and took the position now. But in the grand scheme of things, of course, this is going to be good for Toyota, because that gap now up to 3 seconds, Tom.
Very impressive stuff indeed there from all of these drivers now. BMW trying to attack against Mercedes-Benz. It's a role reversal. This is where Mercedes got past the BMW last time around, and now, as you said, it is Nicholas Rubler who's looking calm, cool and collected at the moment. Tom Lartiu a little bit more stressed behind the wheel of that Mercedes as things stand. All the while they're closing up on one another though. Igor Fraga is just increasing that gap. It's 2.8 seconds as things stand, but it's come down by a couple of tenths of a second over the last sector, so I'm contradicting myself there a little bit, but Toyota now beginning to close down that gap, and of course we should expect these soft tyres to be used for about 6 laps, 7 laps or so within this race, and it's going to be exciting to see how the different strategies play out. Meanwhile, BMW caught in that dirty air. There's not a lot they can do through these fast sweeping corners to try and close that gap down and challenge.
Yeah, it's quite difficult for here. Even these Group 3 cars, these GT3 cars, produce quite a bit of downforce from the wings and diffuser you can see there on the back of the car. So going through the fast sector, the fast corners, you can still get a bit of wash, a bit of dirty air from the car in front, which makes it quite hard to get onto the back. That basically makes the car understeer if you were not aware of that. So right now, if the race ended like this, Toyota predictably would be taking the win from Mercedes-Benz and Porsche there in 3rd. Mercedes-Benz, of course, looking for that treble, but they've got to go one better. They've got to win this race realistically.
Yeah, double points, of course, here in this grand final as well, to remind you. So it does make things very interesting indeed. And, of course, those positions really, really do count ever more so. Through the right-hander we go. Look at the closing speed there of the BMW. And look at the dust being kicked up by Mercedes-Benz in the front of his shot. This is where BMW look really strong. Nicholas Rubler behind the wheel of the car is looking very confident here coming into this 3rd sector. And you can see visibly how much closer, how much more speed he wants to try and carry against the Mercedes of Tom Lartiu at the moment.
You know, as much as you would expect from public lobby racing, you can't really drive through people in this in GT Sport. You take things seriously here. You do that, you get a penalty and get a big old slap on the wrist. So Nico is having to really look for his opportunity. You see him in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. The corner of the cucumber, chewing a bit of gum there. Almost expect a toothpick in his mouth as well, don't you? But not quite getting the job done on Tom in front. So these guys, I think, maybe opting just to say, you know what, let's just not fight for now. Let's try and focus on catching the Toyota. The gap it is increasing, but only slightly, about a tenth a lap at the moment over they are slower than the Toyota, which of course is good for them, because if they can keep in some sort of distance of the car in front, then maybe one of their teammates can come in and do the job for them.
Will be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see which driver they put in the car in the mid-stages and what tyres they go for as well. Will they split the strategy with Toyota and Mercedes-Benz, or will they opt to do the same? Koke Lopez, of course, and Randall Hayward ready to drive that car. I can see Ford getting ready for a driver change as well. Ford currently sitting in P6 on the medium compound of tyres. Behind the wheel of that car at the moment is Armin Aga Khan, and it looks like Adam Tapai is ready to take over behind the wheel of the American machine. Dust being kicked up there for Nicolas Rubelar as well, so certainly pushing still very hard at the moment.
Using all the road and a bit more there, so don't want to be in the grass too often because that will snag the car and end up spinning. Here is Porsche. They started in second position, of course, but they have been on the medium compound tyre, and they are being harried by Audi right now. So something to take into account as we come through into the middle sector. Can Audi get a move done here? Not really a place to overtake. No, Kato having a look at him there, and two very different driving styles. Kato very much resting the wheel, and the Matt at the top seems to be a little bit more calm. I say that now he's fighting. You know what? I'm just not going to say anything. I'll be wrong. But at the end of this lap, what we'll likely see, I think, we'll probably see the medium and the hard runners come in, I think. We'll see if they want to stretch the medium another lap on them.
Could be interesting to find out, of course, a minimum of 5 consecutive laps they've got to do within this race on those tyres there. You can see Audi just trying to break away from Porsche. We can see from our commentary position that Porsche are ready to change over drivers. That is P4 at the moment. That will be Tristan Bayliss going behind the wheel of the car. Now Audi going to follow suit. I can't see a driver ready to change unless it's a very last-minute decision from that team. Tatsuhiro Kato behind the wheel of that car at the moment, and who will get behind the wheel of it? Look at Ford, though. They're trying to attack and send it down the inside, I think, of trying to go through on Audi, but they weren't quite close enough to launch a bit of a challenge through there. But into the pits come Porsche, and also Ford following them as well.
A bad choice, I think, for Audi. I think you really want to try and get off these tyres as quick as you can. And make that soft tyre last. It is worth it, I think, even if it's harder to drive. You'll still have a bit of a quicker lap. So then Porsche then opting to go on to the hard compound of tyre. Ford actually going onto the soft compound of tyres, so that's a good move for Porsche. They're going to be ahead of Ford there, who is going to have a quicker car, but it's going to be hard to get round them. But you'll see the difference between these tyres here. Hard versus soft, it's almost it's a foregone conclusion.
We saw this last time from Audi. If you hark back to World Tour 4 in Salzburg, we saw Audi taking victory in the first race. Their strategy, though, in the second race was very unusual, I think it's fair to say the least. So they really were compromised in the grand final, and it seems like they kind of, as Jimmy said, shooting themselves in the foot here, staying out on the medium compound of tyres. Lexus also following the same principle at the moment in P5 on that medium. So be interesting to see how it all plays out between these guys. Meanwhile, Ford are on the soft compound of tyres. Porsche here in P6 are on the harder compound, so they're going to be sitting ducks once those the Ford gets the tyres up to temperature here.
They will be, and this is where the difference is going to be made for this middle sector. Very fast series of corners through here, very fun to drive. But if you're on the slower compound of tyre, you'll notice a difference. So look for Ford and look at that gap. It's shrinking corner by corner now as those soft compound of tyres come up for temperature. There's Michelin soft tyres, and Porsche, not really much they can do apart from just sit on the line and hope for the best here. Ford now right up to the back of the rear spoiler of the German manufacturer in front, coming now down for this long left-hand that goes on forever. Well, you think it does anyway. And the Porsche, they're taking a very late apex and trying to get the good run off the corner, but even so, Ford gaining.
Yeah, it goes on forever when you've got no grip underneath your nose. Hard compound of tyres not providing much there for Tristan Bayliss as things stand. There he is, sitting behind the wheel of the machine. At the moment is the American driver. A little bit of curb on the inside there, so pushing very hard, trying to make as much time as he possibly can to try and keep that Ford at bay. Meanwhile, Lexus and Audi do come into the pits, and those two have exchanged positions actually for P4 and P5 here on this last lap. So Audi really struggling on that medium compound of tyres, but a difference in strategy going on here. Hard tyres for the Audi, soft for the Lexus.
Yeah, I'm still surprised that Audi have come in this late. I think that's been a damaging move for them, but we'll see. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. Meanwhile, Ford and Porsche, just in the background in your picture, Ford getting the move done on Porsche, then up into P4 they go, using the soft tyres. Here's a replay here, they were a bit far back. I think, yeah, Audi there, mistake coming out of the right-hander, and Lexus go up into fourth as well. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple of laps there for Audi, and just think, I think the tyre change came a bit too late as well, losing time and making a mistake. Horrible worst in for them.
Well, it's Hayden Hunter who's now behind the wheel of the Audi on the hard tyres. They're going to have their qualifying driver Martin Grady on the soft compound at the end of that one. It might be their saving grace. It might be a bit too little, too late as well. we'll see how it all plays out. It depends on what happens in front of these guys. And meanwhile, the gap shrinking between Toyota and Mercedes-Benz. 2.5 seconds it now sits at. Here is Toyota, of course. They have not pitted yet, so still behind the wheel of that machine at the moment is Igor Fraga. And they're going to change over to Rayan Darush in the next phase of this race. But what tyres are they going to change over, and are Mercedes going to follow them through, or are they going to opt to do something bold and try and have a difference in pace at the end of the race, or are they going to try something different to try and close that gap down to Toyota?
We will see, definitely. I think we'll probably see maybe one more lap out of these tyres, if my math is correct. It rarely is. We'll see when it comes to the start-finish line. I say that, Rayan Darush is getting up right now to swap into the car. So guess what? Jimmy was incorrect. Again, let's see. Yep, Fraga peels off to the right. That's his job done for today. The gap was only 2 seconds when he came in, though. He lost a second on the way in. Mercedes coming in as well, as our Toyota. Mercedes going for the hard compounder tyre. Interesting choice there. And BMW going for the medium. So it looks like Mercedes is going to drop off on this stint, but then maybe come back strong at the end.
I thought Mercedes would have to try something different in the mid-stages of this race. It could come back to bite them in the backside. It could prove to be an inspired decision. We'll all see how it all plays out. They've all made their first pit stops now, have all the teams, the 12 teams competing in this race. Lexus and Porsche are going side by side and squabbling for 5th position at the moment as Audi drop down into P7. There's a warning being given there for Lexus. I think that was because of an incident that was under investigation between themselves and Porsche. We didn't see what happened on screen at that time. However, Lexus clearly deemed to be at fault for that.
Yeah, getting a penalty there, and well, that's that. Don't do bad things.
Don't do things that make you look bad, as the saying goes.
Don't you start that. I will mute you. We'll get rid of that. Anyway, BMW and Mercedes. BMW now with the tyre advantage, so it should be again a matter of when, not if. And there's Ant Felix there in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Coco Lopez and the BMW in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And they're running side by side coming up to this very fast section. BMW has the drive. They are by. That is perfect for Coco Lopez. That's what he needed to do. Get by, use that medium compounder tyre and see if he can chase down Rayan Darush now at the front of the field.
The best thing Ant Felix can do here is try and keep with the BMW as long as possible. Try and force him to just go through. He'll have the advantage, of course, a bit of a more straight line speed to try and increase that gap back to Ford and Lexus in P4 and P5 there currently. But he's got a hard task, hard versus medium competitive tyres. There's a good difference in pace there. You can see as the live points ranking on the right hand side of your screen, if it stays as it is, it'll be Toyota that are crowned the Manufacturer Series champions here in Tokyo. But there's still plenty of time for things to play out. Still 10 laps remaining, lots of pit stops, lots of fuel to take on board, and of course that last driver change as well. So don't count your chickens just yet.
Yeah, let me do that, because we've seen mistakes before, and we've seen them made in these situations as well. So here's Coco Lopez, driver has been on the rise very recently. There is a gap you can see in front of you. That is Toyota on your screen, so that is what 3.2 seconds looks like if you are Coco Lopez. So let's see about lap times. Let's see if the BMW can start reeling in the Toyota in front. Mercedes-Benz, meanwhile, predictably falling off the back a little bit, a second now between them and BMW. But what they want to try and do really is stay ahead of Ford and not get into a fight with them. Difficulty this time round, of course, is we did see in the last round that people using the hard compounder tyre, but only usually for a lap and then getting off it as soon as they could. There has been a new rule in force saying that in this race, every compound must be used for at least 5 laps. So 5 laps in that hard tyre, it's going to be a big ask for Ant Felix to try and stay ahead of Ford.
Well, time will tell how it all plays out. Here is BMW. Meanwhile, you can just see up in the distance is the Toyota. Behind the wheel of that Toyota at the moment is Rayan Darush, the Frenchman. Spoke to him back in Salzburg last time out about his thoughts and feelings. He said he races to win. That is all he's out there for, as are all of these drivers. But Rayan, he said, even if it's a podium, even if it's P2, P3, I'm not happy unless I'm standing on that top step. So let's see whether Toyota can do that and Rayan Darush can stand on that top step. What about these guys here? BMW, Coco Lopez behind the wheel of that car at the moment, sitting pretty good here in P2. Can they close that gap down to Toyota? Can they leapfrog Mercedes here in the closing stages and maybe get themselves ahead when everybody's made their final pit stops in this race?
We'll have to wait and see. This is the thing with these manufacturer races, they kind of get a bit quiet in the middle, and then the strategies all come together at the end, and we get all our action come in the last few laps, because that's what our script writer asks for. He's a good boy, isn't he?
I tell you what, though, I'm really a bit disappointed with the Audi here in P7 at the moment. I was expecting more from them over the course of this one. As you said, Jimmy, that really sort of left field strategy call. We saw this last time out in Salzburg. It cost them dear, and it could cost them dear here as well. They clearly don't have the pace to be running with the front runners at the moment, but
bear in mind as well, they have used medium and the hard tyres so far. Everyone else has used a soft tyre at some point, so they're going to be pretty quick at the moment, and Audi still have that yet to come, and that'll be in a couple of laps' time. So they might be able to improve somewhat. Right now they are running 3 seconds behind the top 6, which is Porsche in 6th right now, who have come down a lot. They started in 2nd place, remember that, and now they're down in 6th position, so they've got a lot to do. Still got the softs to come though.
They have, yeah. That is the one saving grace there for Porsche in P6 at the moment. They are 6 seconds back though of Lexus, who will be changing over to the hard compound of tyres, I believe, at the end then of this race. Here is Ant Felix, the American driver, behind the wheel. Had a mixed season of fortunes here in the Manufacturer Series. If you remember back to the first 2 events, he was suffering from illness in both Paris and then in Nürburgring. Thankfully turned his fortunes around, of course, with Mercedes-Benz. The last 2 rounds in the Manufacturer Series has won, of course, in New York. One last time out in Salzburg, part of the winning outfit there. So it's going to be very exciting to see how it all plays out for this team. Now, from our commentary position, we can see drivers getting ready to change over, and I can see that Toyota are looking ready, sorry, Porsche are looking ready for a driver change, and behind the wheel, I'm just going to see who that will be. It, in fact, will be Toyota, and it'll be Yamanaka, I believe, going behind the wheel of that car, but we'll keep an eye out and see how it all plays out. He will be the last driver behind the wheel of that machine. Here is Adam Tapai then, the Hungarian driver. Ford sitting there in 4th. It's been a relatively quiet race there for them so far, but they've just slowly been closing up on the back of the Mercedes over the last few laps.
Yeah, I mean, that soft compounder tyre there is just eating up the gap that Ant had in the Mercedes. Luckily for Ant, you only have to do a few laps in that hard compounder tyre before getting off it, but I'm interested to see that they kept Ant on that compounder tyre. You would have thought maybe he would have been better suited for a medium compounder tyre, given that it has to now last longer. But you were seeing the difference here in cornering speed. The Ford able to get much closer to the Mercedes, and just like that, we're on the rear wing.
Exactly right, yeah. He's really closing up now, is Adam Tapai, the Hungarian. Just look at the traction going through out of that final corner. Just a sitting duck is Mercedes and Anthony Felix here, and this could be, again, a very unusual strategy. I was commenting on Audi's strategy just a few moments ago, and it's a very similar sort of thing here for Mercedes, but they, of course, have got a lot more to lose, but anything could change. Porsche into the pits. They go from the hard over to the soft for the final time then for their last stint. Here come Ford, though. They're going to send it down the inside of Mercedes. Nothing that Anthony Felix can do, and the Hungarian of Adam Tapai is through into the podium positions.
So all the guys coming in now onto the soft compounder tyre for a fast finish, and it's going to be fun to see them come back through the field, I think. And so 4th, 3rd. We have Mercedes-Benz 4th, and they are now going to be under threat from Lexus, another team on that softer compounder tyre. You can see also next to the tyres in the top left-hand corner of the screen, the P column. That is how many stops have been made, and mistake there from Ant Felix, which pretty much gifts the 4th position to Lexus, who are going to drive alongside now, nice and easy, and through they go. Lexus up into P4, Carrazza at the wheel at the moment.
Great stuff there from Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian driver, through into 4th place then. Now Anthony Felix, that mistake has cost him dear. We saw that in his middle stint, of course, that he made in Mount Panorama in race 1 a few minutes ago, and he makes another mistake here, which has cost him a bit of time, cost him that position, as you said there, Jimmy, as well. A few drivers out of positions now, having not made their pit stop. Chevrolet down in 8th place, having got 1 pit stop remaining here in this race. Mercedes and Audi also ready to pit very shortly as well. I can see from our commentary position that Audi are getting ready to change over to Martin Grady, who will be on the soft tyres at the end of this one, as will Mercedes-Benz. Here's the live points rankings then on the right-hand side of your screen. And at the moment, it would be Toyota in 1st, BMW in 2nd, Ford in 3rd, and Mercedes down in 4th. So they're really going to have to pull their finger out.
They are, and again, of course, Audi losing out on that extra lap on the soft tyres because of our strategy earlier on, so losing even more time now. We'll have to see what Martin can do. He loves that car. He's been trying to get it onto the podium and more at his events for quite some time now, and I think now it's going to be a big ask for him. Meanwhile, on board with Coque Lopez, the gap has come down to Toyota, if not only slightly, but about a tenth or two since the stint started. But Coque Lopez, a safe pair of hands, this BMW. Of course, Randall Hayward will be finishing off the BMW with the hard compounder tyre. So it'll be Hayward versus Yamanaka. So that'll be interesting at the end.
Yeah, that's to say the least, isn't it? There is a Chevrolet also into the pits, onto the soft compounder tyres. Audi come out, then they emerge in P7. Chevrolet are going to emerge a bit further down the order. Of course, they were out of position down in 12th place. It's been a kind of manufacturer series to forget here so far. We've hardly mentioned them over the course of the last 2 races, and well, they're down in 12th place, 2.3 seconds off the back of Hyundai, who have also been struggling here in this weekend. So Yep, work for them to do going into Monaco as well. Now here at Audi with Alfa Romeo all over their backside. Of course, both drivers on the soft compound of tyres. The good news is for Martin Grady, his will be a couple of laps fresher towards the end.
Yeah, good for him, of course, but he's still got the work to do. And this every lap you're on the hard compound of tyre, losing 2 seconds to those on the softs, or second and a bit, sorry, to those on the mediums. But right now, I think that Audi should get back to form. They've got 6 seconds to Porsche in front. Mercedes-Benz are going to be the car that is going to be struggling until they go on to the next set of tyres at the moment. And everyone needs to complete 2 stops. So our top 5 teams still need to come in for their last pit stop. So anything to play for here.
Yep, through into the left-hander, then into the right, then for Audi as they drop down the hill. And when are Mercedes going to pounce? That is the crucial question. From our commentary position, I can't see the drivers getting ready at the moment as things stand. But
Cody's up there right now.
Cody is up there. You're completely right. I just couldn't see it from where we're standing there, Jimmy. So Cody then going to change over and be on the soft compound of tyres in the closing stages of this one. It's kind of a bit of a moot point because everybody else behind him is on the soft compound of tyres, and 2 drivers in front of them at the moment are on it as well. There is Shogo Yoshida, who we're just looking at with Alfa Romeo. Into the pit lane then come Mercedes-Benz, soft compound boots on them as well, and they'll come out of the pit lane there now. They've only got 36 litres of fuel on board. And over to the medium compound of tyres here for Mercedes, I apologise. So, of course, they started the soft compound over to the mediums, then for the closing stages of this race. But with 2 drivers in front on the soft compound here, Jimmy, I don't know if that's going to work very well.
That and a charging Porsche behind on the soft compound of tyres. So right now, Mercedes is in is the meat of a soft tyre sandwich at the moment, which doesn't actually sound very tasty, actually, now I say it out loud. But Cody in the car, of course, we know he has vast experience in Mercedes. It's looking very, very unlikely right now that we'll see Mercedes go for the treble here, but well, we still have a few laps left. We've seen very strange things happen in this competition before. We might see it again, but it's going to be a big ask now for Mercedes to improve on 5th.
I think it's very hard to understate just what a great job Tomoki Yamanaka is doing behind the wheel of that Toyota at the moment as well, steadily increasing that gap to Randall Hayward in the BMW in P2 at the moment. So fantastic to see him doing so well. There is Porsche in P6. See riding on board there with him, just through the left-hander and then the right, and Mercedes-Benz, just not quite quick enough to hold off the charge. And Cody Nikolakowski, well, he's a very experienced, very talented driver. However, there's not going to be a lot he's going to be able to do, I don't think, about the soft compound tyre shod Porsche.
We'll see what happens here. Good run out of the corner there from the Porsche. Goes to the inside, having done his Cody. Cody goes to defend there. Going to be holding the inside line. Comes back across, really squeezes Porsche. That's a great example of defending there, giving him no room whatsoever. He does not want to give this up. Meanwhile, top left hand, so Yamanaka gets in the car now for Toyota. There he is, and he's got they're all going for the hard compound of tyres. So it's a straight race now. Haywood gets into the BMW, and Ford up there as well. I didn't see them. Oh, sorry, they're pitting in. I thought Ford were a bit higher than they should. No, Ford are third. When did that happen? They've
been just slowly chipping that gap down. They've done a really good middle stint there from Ford, actually, has helped them close that gap down, and very impressive stuff there from the American manufacturer. So now the top 4 drivers are on the hard compound of tyres, and that's the saving grace here for Cody Nikolakowski. Apologies, by the way, to the Toyota team. I said that Tomoki Yamanaka was behind the wheel of the car a couple of laps ago. Of course, it was Ryan DeRouche who was behind the wheel of that machine, and now it is Tomoki Yamanaka who pilots the machine. And this is the battle that is going on for 4th, 5th and 6th place. Lexus on the hard compound of tyres, of course, Mercedes-Benz on the medium, Porsche on the soft. So 3 different compounds of tyres and 3 different manufacturers battling for one another. Toyota on the outside, Mercedes trying to defend on the inside. Trying to get the switch back here is the Porsche. Side by side, they're going to come on the straight. The slipstream is going to be coming into massive effect here. Cody goes to the outside. On the inside as they go 3 wide down this straight. There's a bit of bumping and barging. Porsche on the inside, Lexus in the middle, Mercedes on the outside. Down the inside we go, and Mercedes hold the line. Lexus run off circuit and onto the gravel and into the wall. Mercedes into 4th, Porsche into 5th, and Lexus spinning round. It's gone wrong for Lexus here in the closing stages of the race, and that is a huge shame for that team. The reigning manufacturers champions go tumbling down the order.
I think what happened there is that Lukowski was on the left-hand to the right-hand side of the circuit and didn't know that Lexus was still there. He cut across to take the line, and I think that he swiped the Lexus, which just smashed him off the course. And well, we'll see. We'll probably get a replay soon. Porsche up the inside, taking advantage there. Bit of a rough pass, I think, but there goes Porsche up into 4th position, and Cody, as quick as he gained it, back down to 5th again.
Very impressive stuff indeed there from those guys side by side. They still come though almost as Cody just tries to hold on to the back of this Porsche. The good thing here he could do is try and hold that gap and follow them through here as things stand, and just try not to let that gap get too far out in front, because of course they're just in front of them. They've got the Ford in P3 at the moment, who are 4.3 seconds back of BMW. So this could be a great little battle for the final spot on the podium, and could also be crucial given the fact it's double points here in the grand final for their finishing position in the standings.
I think Porsche have a chance of coming second in this race if they have a great last couple of laps. Bear in mind how much quicker the soft tyre is over the hard compound of tyre. And you're seeing in there, look how quick Porsche is putting away. There are live points rankings there on the right-hand side of your screen. And Toyota right now, well, looking to win it, but it's now a fight between BMW, Porsche and Ford as to who gets onto the podium. And Mercedes-Benz not quite able to keep up now on this medium compound of tyre as hard as Cody tries. But look at the Porsche absolutely shooting up to the back of the Ford in front.
That is great driving there from Inestrosa, the Argentinian behind the wheel of that machine at the moment, and really closing up onto the back there of Ford. As you can see, the difference in tyre compounds, hard compound tyres there for Ford. It's a bit of a sitting duck at this stage. Look at the closing speed through those S-bends, through these S-bends. Look at the Porsche now, really all over the rear wing. Oh, bit of contact between them through the right-hander. Porsche just have to back out of it momentarily. Fortunately, Ford don't suffer too much drama there, but he's going to have to wait another day as Inestrosa tries to get the long way around the outside through there, tries to set something up for that switchback on the inside, but he's not close enough. He gets good closing speed though through the second phase of it. They draw alongside. Porsche on the inside, Ford on the outside, side by side they come down in towards the left-hander, which follows on the inside of Porsche and through into 3rd place. That is great driving from Inestrosa. He's through. Armin Agakan is defenceless, and now he's going to have to try and defend from Cody Nikolakowski in a fast-charging medium tyre Mercedes in P4.
Get out, Tom. And yeah, the Ford there was set up nicely. That was a nice setup there from Porsche. And now let's see just what pace that Porsche has. There is 4.3 seconds between them and BMW. You can just about see the BMW in the distance there. But more importantly, BMW on the hard compound of tyre with Randall Hayward at the wheel, and a fast charging Porsche behind him. So here's Mercedes now and Ford. The Ford on the hard compound of tyre. Not much they can really do but try and stay on the racing line. And then again, Cody trying to set him up nice and early. Gets a better exit alongside. There goes Cody up into 4th position. Not much Ford can do there on the hard compound of tyre. And Mercedes move up into 4th.
Great job there from Cody Nikolakowski. Don't think they're going to have an answer though for Porsche, so 4th is surely going to be the best that Cody can hope for, and indeed Team Mercedes-Benz can hope for. What about 4th though? I think they're just going to have to pull back slowly but surely. Great race it's been though from BMW. Randall Hayward behind the wheel of that car has been steadily closing that gap down. It's now down to 1.7 seconds to Toyota, so this race for the final position here might not be over. It's slowly been shrinking down, and it's shrinking down to Porsche as well for BMW, because of course 2nd and 3rd is to play for here. Of course, hard tyres on the BMW, soft compound of tyres for the Porsche. There's only a couple of laps left though here in this race, so it's going to have to be the laps of the Porsche driver's life of Inestrosa. But Randall Hayward, we know how talented he can be, and he's still not very far away from the Toyota, so it ain't over just yet.
Tell you what, Inestrosa right now is driving the wheels off of that Porsche. The gap is coming down corner by corner now. Only 4 seconds or so between him and the position. Are struggling on tyres. Yamanaka really struggling on that hard compound as Randall Hayward takes yet more time out of the Japanese driver. The gap now 1.3 seconds to the front. This is going to go down to the wire. Here we go then, coming in to the penultimate lap just about now, and you see how much Yamanaka is struggling. Randall Hayward by comparison nice and calm down the bottom, but behind him you can see in the mirror Porsche now only 2 seconds behind this fight.
This is absolutely mega. Just to compare lap times, Toyota last time around 1:58.7, BMW 1:58.1, Porsche 1:55.7. That is a huge difference in time between these drivers, and the gap is closing between these top 3.
And importantly, if he does that time again, he will be there. He will be at the front of the fields. Now this is Porsche's to win. If they can get this done, they will go away as the champions here. This is for the entire event. They came second in the first race. If they can get ahead of Toyota, they will come away the winners. So this now has come alive, as it always does in the Manufacturer Series as we come to the end. 2 hard runners and 1 soft runner there. And again, the gap now down to only a second between Porsche and BMW. 1.7 seconds between Porsche and the leaders, Toyota.
This is absolutely mega between these top three drivers at the moment. Great racing, great stuff from Inestrosa as he holds on to P3 at the moment, but he's closing that gap down now to half a second to BMW in second place. But you can see just in the distance there, Yamanaka is really struggling on that hard compound of tyres. Looking there at Inestrosa, looking at Hayward, looking at the closing speed as Porsche right onto the back now of BMW, and surely he's going to think about a move, but they're going into a right-hander. He's got the outside line there, has Porsche. He's going to try and get the switchback, but a great bit of defensive driving there from Randall Hayward. Just blocks the line momentarily. But look at the traction, look at the drive for the Porsche. On the inside they go, side by side they come down the straight into the left-hander. Surely on the brakes is where we're going to see the Porsche launch a move, but defending is Randall Hayward. He runs wide though, he misses the apex, and Inestrosa pulls alongside of the Porsche. Side by side they come through the right-hander, and through goes Porsche into P2 the long way round the outside. This is absolutely incredible.
And now Yamanaka has to try and defend for his life. It's only one lap to go here at the Grand Final of the Manufacturer Series in Tokyo, and half a second separates first and second place at the moment, and this is for the win of the entire series here. So Toyota on the hard compound tyre really struggling. Look at the speed of the Porsche through T1, right on the back of the Toyota now, coming through the first sector. Can Inestrosa get something done here on Yamanaka? Yamanaka sitting on the racing line. Randall Hayward is still there, and Porsche goes up the inside. The lead has changed. There goes Porsche up into the lead, and right now they will take the victory here in the Manufacturer Series, and behind them Randall Hayward goes up into second place, and Toyota go from first to third in only half a lap.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Porsche go through into the lead on the last lap. BMW through into P2. They have to try and defend now from Toyota. Yamanaka's going to try for the outside line. He's going to try and switch back. Is he going to have the grip though on the hard compound of tyres? In the slipstream we go then on the last lap here. Surely this is Porsche's race that is won, and this will be crucial in terms of the results for the final here. Down into the left-hander we go, on board with Toyota. Yamanaka, defenceless at the moment, can't quite find his way past Randall Hayward. It is all to play for here. It is getting hugely exciting. The top three drivers running nose to tail.
This is going to be it now. It's the last few corners before the end of this race. Just about caught my breath from the start of a lap. Porsche seemingly have this in the bag. All Inestrosa has to do now is drive the car to the end. But look in the background now. This is rapidly becoming a race for second, third and fourth and fifth. There are the 5 points there, Tom.
Toyota need to finish in second to try and keep their hopes alive here. They need to finish ahead of BMW, but are they going to be able to do it? And look at Mercedes-Benz, look at Audi in the background. They're ready, they're lurking. Through the right-hander we go, just a few more corners from home here. BMW holding on to P2, Toyota defending from Mercedes-Benz, but through into the final series of corners we go. Mercedes up the inside, Toyota can't find a way through. Into the last corner we go, and over the line. Toyota finishing third. Porsche win the grand final of the Manufacturer Series here in Tokyo. BMW in second, Toyota in third, Audi in fourth, and Mercedes-Benz come over the line in fifth place.
I saw those two there in the bottom right-hand corner, Bayliss and Simmons, grinning like idiots and just waiting for the car to cross the line. What an upset there for Toyota. Yamanaka gave it his all, as did Randall Hayward, but there was no stopping Inestrosa there in the Porsche on the soft compounder tyre. An overtake for the lead and the win of the series on the last lap. That is why the Manufacturer Series is one of the best in esports. No question about it.
That was absolutely mega there from Porsche. BMW finishing in second right at the very end of that one, and Toyota down into third position. There was just nothing that Yamanaka could do, and huge delight there for Porsche. Absolutely mega stuff. We can see from our commentary position, you can see down there Coque Lopez draped in the Spanish flag there.
He always is.
Second position for BMW. That was absolutely mega. They're very happy with that result. Their best result, of course, since Paris, the opening World Tour event for the Manufacturers Series. But hugely impressive stuff there from Porsche. They put a blinder in the strategy. It just didn't pay off for Mercedes right when it mattered. It didn't pay off for Toyota right when it mattered. It did pay off for Porsche.
That's the great thing about the Manufacturer Series. So many different strategies going on that you don't really know what is actually going on until you get into the last few laps or so. So it was just awesome to see Porsche come through. A first-time winner, of course. You can see what it means there. Kenny Economos, you can't see it on your screen right now, but just congratulating his fellow Aussie. Awesome scenes.
Great stuff from all three Porsche drivers. Matthew Simmons, of course, driving for that team, as well as Tristan Bayliss and Angel Inestrosa, who finished the race for that team. He was driving out of his skin in those closing laps.
his first time abroad and his first event.
There you go. You can't ask for more than that then, can you?
Amazing.
Doesn't get
Amazing.
better than that there for Ankel and Estroza. Fantastic performance for all involved, and we can see the emotion outpouring down there. Nicholas Rubelar, Randall Hayward, and of course the other BMW driver of Coque Lopez. Hugely impressive stuff for them to finish in P2. They'll be very happy with that nice bit of silverware for that team to take home here today.
So where did it go wrong for Toyota then? We thought we had that in the bag then, but
We did, yeah.
Yeah, but that was it. They didn't quite manage to. Was it just the hard running, you think?
Yeah, just really seemed to struggle there in the closing stages, did Tomoki Yamanaka. You're absolutely right there, Jimmy. And we'll be getting some replays of that frantic race. I think you've just about gotten your breath back. Only dogs could hear you in that last lap, mate.
My word. If my throat wasn't bad before, it's gone now. I'm going to just completely wrecked it now. But it's just great to see what it means to for Matt and Bayliss down there. They jumped out of their seats. He was cheering, he was jumping up and down. The audience here receptive. I mean, of course, I think they would have preferred to see a Japanese manufacturer win, but they were just as happy to see a first-time winner, I think.
Yeah, hugely impressive stuff from all of these teams involved, and great also to see Audi and Mercedes-Benz right there at the end of that. If that race had gone on a lap longer, we'd have had a five-way scrap for the race lead, and that's very tantalising indeed. Highlights then of the race. So you can see here on lap 4, these are the first pit stops that were taking place as Porsche, the eventual winners, into the pits, onto the hard combat of tyres for their middle stint here.
Yeah, it just at this point of the race, we were kind of confused. we always are. There's so many strategies going on at this point. It was a strong start from Toyota, Fraga on the soft tyre, and of course going to Darush on the medium and just keeping it going. But as the race progressed, we were seeing more and more pace from likes of BMW. Here was Mercedes. I think there was a bit of a weak stint in the middle for Anne. He didn't quite get it right, unfortunately for him. A couple of mistakes from him, kind of meaning the car wasn't quite in contention towards the end. And here was Yamanaka, just couldn't quite get the hard tyre switched on. And this was a big move in the race. We didn't quite see what happened here, but what happened in the end was Lexus being fired off and ultimately out of contention. You can see the podium there being brought in rather swiftly by our Japanese hosts here, of course. And we'll get ready for that very shortly. But Michelin caps being handed out left, right and centre. And just getting ready now to go to our podium ceremony.
Yeah, mega stuff from all of these drivers. Don't forget, of course, get involved with your driver of the day as well. You can vote for them online. Hashtag Michelin FIA GTC. We'll be talking to them in our extra lap show coming up along the way after the end of this Manufacturer Series broadcast. You can see the drivers talking amongst one another. There is the hashtag Michelin FIA GTC, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Get in touch on our social medias and we'll be crowning our Michelin driver of the day, as we said, in that show coming up very shortly after this broadcast finishes here for the Manufacturer Series. Just mega stuff from all of those drivers. Great strategy, great pace, great racing as well. I just wish we'd gone on for another lap or so, because that would have been amazing, wouldn't it?
That's the thing with strategy, is it's kind of hard to nail when it gets turned on, and unfortunately if we had one more lap, we would have had a proper scrap at the end there. But I think to have, again, as I said, the pass to the lead being made on the last lap, and the pass for the series here, the victory, I think that's brilliant. I think it's amazing to see that. And
you can hear the cheers and applause, I'm sure, in the background there as well. We're just looking at the crowd from our commentary position with the drivers just celebrating with one another down there.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Here we
really,
have
really is what it's
the
all about.
Porsche team members who
So
won
then,
the
ready to welcome the drivers onto the podium.
championship right now. So can you
First
please
of all,
let me know?
congratulations to you guys. So
How you
it
feel
was
right
an
now?
intense game, but how was it for you after the checker?
Oh, I'm so happy. I have no words.
まあ本当言葉が出ないくらい今嬉しいとおっしゃってます。
走り始めた段階ではまだかなり前に多くの選手たちいましたけ
There
ど
were
も
so many
どんな
teams
ことを考え
ahead
てま
of
した
you.
か
So what were you
Well,
thinking about?
at the beginning, when you started your stint, you had a few machines before you. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I was so nervous. I was getting close to them and I start to overtake them. Oh, yeah, I was like this.
まあ本当ね、スタートした時はもうめちゃくちゃ緊張してて、前に何台もいるからもう手が震える思いでね走行したんですけどっておっしゃってます。
はい、見事な走りでした。それでは
So
変わってい
it
ただい
was
て
a great one.
マット・シモンズ選手に話を伺っていきたいと思います
Now I'd like to ask
見事な
Matt Simmons.
大逆転優勝となりました
So
が
it was really
今の気持ちいかがですか
All right, Matt, that was quite a big overtake, from the beginning to the end. How did you feel?
It was crazy. We didn't know if the strategy would work, and we gave it to this man. He was so fast in practice. He was sixth, and we were like, oh, we'll see what he can do, and he just kept passing and just driving crazy. So yeah, we owe the win to him. He was amazing.
まあ本当一言ね、クレイジーなレースだったよと、本当戦略もねぴったりと決まったし、あと何がともあれアンゲル選手がね本当にすごく頑張ってくれたので、今日のレースはもうアンゲル選手のおかげだとおっしゃってます。
はい、ありがとうございます。そして最後にトリスタン・ベイリー選手にもお話を伺っていきたいと思います。さあ見事なレースになりましたが、これでマニュファクチャラーシリーズは初優勝となりました。いかがですか
？Tristan, it's your first win in the Manufacturer Series. Congratulations. How do you feel?
I'm over the moon. Amazing. Angel just, we gave him the nickname the Demon because we think his speed is from an altogether different plane of reality. This alien on our team. And of course, Matt, who got us a second in the qualifying, which was way more than we could have expected. So putting it all together just feels amazing.
本当にね、気持ちとしてはもう星を超えてしまうぐらいの思いなんですけれども、本当にねエンジェル選手とおっしゃってるんですけれども、ニックネームをつけるとしたらね、ディーモンとね、小悪魔と言ってます。本当に脅威なるね追い上げを見せてくれたっていうところと、あと、マット選手ですけれども、彼の予選もとにかく素晴らしかったので、そこら辺も皆さんね、見ていたかと思いますけれど、彼の走りも素晴らしかったよと本当に嬉しいとおっしゃってます。
さあこの東京での優勝で、次へのモナコのツアーファイナルへもかなりいい流れができたと思います。最後モナコに向けて意気込みをお願いします。
So the final round will be in Monaco. So it's a great flow, you know, you have it right there. And what are you looking forward to Monaco?
We couldn't have put ourselves in a better position to be ready for Monaco. This will give us just incredible confidence. We will look forward to it greatly.
この位置はね、本当モナコに対して本当にいい流れも作れたし、このポジションで最終戦に挑めるっていうのはもう本当にめちゃくちゃ嬉しいことなのでね、次にうまくつなげたいとおっしゃってます。
以上見事な逆転優勝でした。チームポルシェの皆さんでした。拍手をお送りください。
はい、congratulations again, you guys.
Fantastic stuff. You can see the final confirmation of the results just briefly on your screen there. I was just having a look actually through the notes of Angel Idostraza, the driver, of course, who completed that race. He only started playing Gran Turismo Sport at Christmas. He's not completed a year yet playing it. If he's only playing that at Christmas, how phenomenal of a performance is that?
I'm terrible is what I'm thinking about that. But here are your final results then. So Porsche, BMW and Toyota making up your podium. Great to see. Again, a bit of a different story at the top there. And BMW, again, another consistent performance, second place for them. Audi just off the podium, as was Mercedes-Benz, a tie actually for points there. But Audi get the fourth place because they were higher up in the last race. Ford and Jaguar making up 6th and 7th, and unfortunately, a day to remember for Team Lexus and Team Hyundai. Just never quite able to get there in the series, are they?
How fortunes change for Team Lexus. Let's not forget, last year they were riding on the crest of a wave at this point, having made their way through, of course, to the World Final in Monaco. This year, one singular point is all they take away from the Manufacturers Series in Tokyo. Goodness me, that's racing though. That's the way it goes.
It is. Again, it's we prefer it that way. We don't like predictable racing. I don't think we ever get that here, so it's always a treat to watch these series. And we're getting our guys just getting ready for the podium now. At the moment, just in our line of sight. How would you sum up this Manufacturer Series, Tom?
I never get asked questions like this. Frantic is probably the way I would describe it there. It was just absolutely mega, wasn't it? From start to finish, yeah, I love the difference in strategies, and I love the way that it all plays out here in the Manufacturer Series, because it's almost a bit of a slow burner in the middle, and you think, oh, how's it going to go? Is it going to be, is it going to be exciting? Is it going to be a bit quiet? But it's not. It's always thrilling towards the end, and I think we're just about ready, by the way, to get podium procedures underway here in Tokyo as well. So we'll be getting our drivers onto the podium very, very shortly indeed here. You can see just down there as well, 3 teams ready to make their way on to the podium. There's Team Toyota, 3rd position for them.
Let's begin with the prize-giving ceremony for the FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championship 2019 World Tour Round 5 Tokyo Manufacturers Series. On 3rd position, Team Toyota, Tomoaki Yamanaka, Ryan DeRouche, and Igor Fraga.
第3位はチームトヨタ。
Huge congratulations there for Team Toyota, finishing in 3rd place. They look very happy with P3 there. They'll have all wanted a little bit more than that. I knew they had the pace, but didn't quite work out this occasion.
On 2nd position, Team BMW, Koke Lopez, Nicolas Ruby, and Landor Haywood. Congratulations!
第2位はチーム BMW コケ・ロペス、ニコラス・ルビラー、ランドール・ヘイウッドの3名です。
And the winner for today's race is Team Porsche, Angle Instructor, Tristan Bayless and Matt Simmons.
そして見事な優勝でしたチームポルシェ。アンゲル・イノストローザ、トリスタン・ベイリス、
Tristan Bayless, Matt Simmons up there on the top step.
A popular winner.
Very popular, yeah. It's great to see Porsche back on top here. About time for the German national anthem very shortly, of course, as well. Porsche having announced their 3 different projects in Gran Turismo Sport in the near future. The Taycan coming as well, the Vision GT car, and the new other developments. But now it's time then for the national anthem of Germany, ready to play out. Big old congratulations to Team Porsche, the national anthem of Germany playing out here for that team. And now it's time for the prizes to be presented to our top 3 finishers very shortly indeed.
それではトロフィーの贈呈です。
So then, ready for
まずは3位に輝きましたチームトヨタ。
trophies to be presented. Here, firstly, to our third place finishers of Team Toyota.
吉田修平さんです。
Shuei Yoshida, the SIE president there, the worldwide sports president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, presenting it there to our top 3 finishers of Yamanaka, Fraga, and Rayan Darush. Second place trophy then, ready to be presented, of course, to Team BMW. Brilliant there. Yumiko Ueda, the Motorsports DB sports division there, presenting it to the man who collects a trophy of Randall Hayward. Of course, Nicolas Rubilar and Koke Lopez also involved in that team. Great effort from all 3 of those boys. And the winners, of course, of the Manufacturer Series of Team Porsche, Ankel Irastraza, Tristan Bayless and Matthew Simmons, all part of that lineup. The German manufacturer on top here in the Gran Turismo World Tour. And Kazunori Yamauchi, the producer of the Gran Turismo Series, presenting firstly the trophy for that team. Handshakes all round for those guys. And of course then the Tag Heuer watches to be presented here as well. Lovely stuff for all 3 of these drivers. The Tag Heuer timepiece. Nice way to, nice thing to take home there, and good way to make sure they don't miss their flight early on Monday morning as well. Huge congratulations there to Team Porsche. I think Koke was trying to get in there as well, wasn't he?
Trying his luck there, wasn't he?
Mega stuff from Ankel, Tristan and Matt. There you go, you can see what it means to them, the emotion, outpours on their faces here in Tokyo. Of course, these boys haven't got much of a rest. Nations Cup coming up tomorrow here for some as well. Just absolutely mega from all 3 teams. Great racing right at the very end there of that one. Hugely impressive stuff in the grand final. Yeah, brilliant stuff there from all of those guys. As I said, hugely impressive performances up and down the field. Great atmosphere here, great sportsmanship between them. We all know that sportsmanship is avoiding things that makes you look bad, Jimmy.
That's it right now is Estrada kissing the trophy isn't a good look. but it's great to see just what it means to him. You know, you see the actual outpour of emotion after this, and we always say that the cars might not be real, but the emotions certainly are.
That is for sure, isn't it? There is no doubting about it for these drivers here on the podium. Great performances as well at the end from Mercedes and also, crucially, their Audi. They were really trying to turn their weekend around. As we said, if it had gone on for a lap longer, who knows what would have happened. Maybe we'd have had an entirely different podium. It would have all played out very differently, but it didn't, and that's how it worked out.
Definitely. And yeah, again, Porsche, a very popular winner here today. And Matt Simmons is someone who's always been threatening to do something in the car. And finally, he has a win here at Tokyo. Again, 5th World Tour. I can't believe this is the end of the Manufacturer Series. Well, until we go to the finals.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't believe we're at this point. It's gone by so quickly.
It has. It seems like, you know, blink and you'll miss it sort of thing, isn't it? You know, we're only back in Paris, what seems like last week, really. And, yeah, it is just absolutely mega to have the Manufacturer Series. And, of course, we've tried out this new format. And I'll tell you what, you know, full points to them. It's mega.
It is. It really is, and I'm liking the new format. I'm liking it. It's more team focused. I'm liking the new rule of the hard tyre as well, making sure everyone's driving a fair share. It really is making it more of a team game, and we're seeing, you know, the results change because of it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, of course, we've got Nations Cup action to come for you tomorrow here. 4 p.m. local time as well. We'll be kicking off things as well. Don't forget, our extra lap show is coming up very shortly after this. We'll be talking to our top team, of course, of Team Porsche very shortly, and getting their thoughts as well. And setting to our Michelin Driver of the Day. So stay tuned and find out more. welcome to the Extra Lap. It is World Tour 5 for the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. We've just had the Manufacturer Series, and what a brilliant evening's worth of racing we've had. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me, Jimmy Broadbent, here to talk you through a little bit more of the action here today. And we've got three drivers from our top three teams. So we've got, of course, from Porsche, Matt Simmons, the winning team. From second place BMW, we've got Randall Hayward. And from Team Toyota, Igor Fraga. Afternoon or evening to you all, gents. Hope you did. Oh, well, it's been a long day. Sorry, the jet lag's kicking in. First of all, let's go to yourself there, Matt. Hearty congratulations for the victory. How are you feeling after it?
I think we're all in shock a little bit. Like, we had a strategy, thought it might pay off, but with the two races, we were stronger at the final. But the first race was where it was going to be tough, and yeah, we somehow came P2 out of that. So we thought we had a genuine chance. So we stayed strong, true to ourselves, kept to the strategy, and then yeah, obviously what happened at the end was incredible.
Oh, it's been a little while for you, Matt, hasn't it? To be kind, I think. Is it nice to finally get up on the top step?
Yeah, it's look, I've had some amazing experiences, and being able to go through GD Academy and coming to these events, we didn't know what could be possible, and we thought, for me, it was we could achieve a podium this year to be amazing, but to stand on the top step was not something we ever thought could be possible.
Oh, nice one there, Matt. Thank you very much, and big congratulations to you. Randall, let's just chat to you a second there. So, second place for BMW. Chaotic, though, at the end, wasn't
it?
Yes, very. Just talk us through that final race, and how are you feeling with the team finishing second?
I feel great with the team finishing second. I feel like that was the best we were gonna get out of today, because we were expecting Toyota to do good, and then the last battle, I can't talk. Hold on.
It's
I'm
all
too
overwhelming.
Nervous. It's my first time. But yeah, we were expecting to get second behind the Toyota, but Porsche came out of nowhere and just snatched that from both of us. But yeah, the last lap, I couldn't do anything about the Porsche catching up to me and passing me. And I just said, screw it. Let him fight the Toyota. And then I got what I wanted.
Do you find it difficult being here at these live events? I mean, we have, I think, probably the biggest crowd we've seen so far here this time. And of course, they're all jeering when anything happens. Can you hear that when you're driving around, or are you just like 100% focused on what's going on?
I was 100% focused this time.
Proper racer then.
Yeah.
Nice one there, Randall. Congratulations to yourself and BMW.
Thank you.
Igor, you guys were looking pretty strong, it's got to be said, but I mean, just talk us through what happened. You finished third, not where you guys wanted to be, but not a bad weekend, all things considered.
Well, at the end, I can say that was quite heartbreaking, you know, because at the end we led almost every lap of the race, and then on the last lap they got us. So it's it's a tough feeling, but I think as my part, I did a great job, especially on the second race. My teammate as well. You know, the Toyota was had a little tough time in terms of tire consumption. So especially at the end of the stint, like at the beginning was quite strong, I think around the same pace, but at the end was like struggling a little bit, and that cost was probably the first place. So I said it was a bit heartbreaking, but I would like to congratulate him for the victory. They did the awesome job, so I will take that and get back stronger for Monaco.
You've come on to my question now a little bit. You had a bit of a stacked team there, I think it's fair to say. I mean, are you going to be hoping to carry that momentum through? I mean, Monaco's a completely different experience. I mean, hopefully we won't all be as jet lagged as we are now. Do you think you've got a chance in the finals?
Yeah, why not? We are here to compete and really try to win. I think everyone has the same thinking. So we will just keep practicing, keep pushing to get back stronger in Monaco, and we will fight until the last lap.
Oh, that is mega stuff there, boys. Big congratulations. Right, I just want to ask you one plan for Monaco then. In one word, sum up what your plan is for Monaco. Matt, you first.
Or back-to-back. So back-to-back wins.
I mean, that's 3 words technically, but I'll take it. Randall, what's your word for Monaco? What's the plan?
Motivation.
Motivation, like it. And Igor, go on.
I will go with the practice.
Right. Punt. Yeah. Goodness me. Huge congratulations to our top 3 finishers in the Manufacturer Series. Team Toyota, Team BMW, and also Team Porsche here this evening in Tokyo. So we're going to be chatting to our Michelin Driver of the Day very, very shortly indeed. We'll come back to that in just a couple of moments, though, and the extra lap then after this. driver of the day, Angel Inestrosa. Angel, first of all, huge congratulations for being awarded the Michelin Driver of the Day award. How do you feel?
Firstly, thank you. I'm feeling amazing. Yeah, I really cannot believe this. It's my first World Tour, and being here, it's all crazy to win with my teammates. It's amazing. I have no words for it.
Well, hopefully we can make you find some words, which would be quite useful. It was an incredible performance, especially at the end. I mean, the soft tyres clearly on the Porsche at the end were the way to go, because you had just phenomenal pace.
Thank you. Yeah. We were looking for to do that at the end, doing 8 laps at the stint. And yeah, at the beginning of the lap, Toyota was ahead like 15 seconds, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to catch them, but yeah, it ended up like this, and yeah, it was so good.
Well, talking about World Tour events, your first time here at a World Tour event, how have you found the experience so far?
Excellent.
It's pretty unique, isn't it?
Yeah, unique. All of it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I was looking through your stats actually, and you only started playing GT Sport. Was it last December?
Yeah.
So talk us through like your background in sim racing. Were you a sim racer before? Was this your first introduction into sim racing?
I sim raced before from 2011. Then I met Fabian Portilla.
Yep.
So it's been like 8 or 7 years that I know him. And I raced to 2014. Then I stopped playing every racing game to the last December, because I saw all of this and I wanted to be in it. Yeah, and I'm here. Yeah. It's so crazy.
You've done an incredible job. Just talk us through the performance of your teammates as well, Matt Simmons, of course, and the other drivers as well. It was a whole team effort. Wasn't it?
Of course. The first Bathurst, Tristan and Matt were obviously faster. So they went for it, and they did a very good job. Yeah. So I'm very grateful to them.
And what's the plan going forwards for the next event for our World Tour?
For Monaco.
Is there a strategy?
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet.
Probably it would be someone, but
plans to probably win again, right?
Yeah.
Oh, mega. Well, Angel, congratulations. Again, really great job to yourself and Team Porsche, and we hope we'll see you fighting at the front in Monaco.
Thank you so much.
Mega stuff. Great to see Angel Inestrosa being crowned our Michelin Driver of the Day here in Tokyo for World Tour 5 of the Gran Turismo World Tour. So that is it then from the Extra Lap. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, of course, we have Nations Cup action coming along the way for World Tour 5, and that'll be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. local time in Tokyo. So be sure to join us for that. In the meantime, catch us all on the social medias for Gran Turismo, and we will see you tomorrow for Nations Cup action here in Tokyo.